Wild Card Saturday. We opened the playoffs. Steve Young, John Gruden. Look, the beard of Jeff Fisher got grayer and grayer and grayer. Then all of a sudden it was black when Gary Anderson, who has more field goals than anybody in the history of the game, punched it through. It took that type of effort to get through that Ravens losing streak.
Sometimes to beat the demons and go on the road and overcome mistakes, it takes a lot more, and they had to show it today, and they did.
What a gut check. Eddie George, shoulder injury, McNair playing on one leg, 44-year-old place kicker, and what can you say about the Titan defense today?
Defense, didn't you say that before? The defense,
Run
you can go a long
defense prevailed today.
Well, we've got plenty to talk about in this game. We'll get you set for the next game. The Autotrader.com wildcard between games report is coming your way after this from our ABC stations. What a start. And welcome, everybody, to the Autotrader.com wild card between games report. That's a mouthful. And maybe this game will be a mouthful as well. The Dallas Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? Back in the playoffs at the NFC South champion Carolina Panthers. That's the next game coming up. But what a start that we had. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Berman along with Steve Young and Tampa Bay coach John Gruden. And Tennessee, took them, and they finally beat the Baltimore Ravens by the count of 20-17. And the way the game started, it looked like it was going to be Tennessee all the way. But then you're surprised by what Baltimore didn't do, aren't you, Steve?
I'm shocked that it was a complete capitulation by Brian Billick not giving the ball to Jamal Lewis. From the first play of the game, he said, basically, Anthony Wright is going to go and win this game for me. And to me, it shouldn't have been even this close.
Run defense, huh, John?
I like the guts of Tennessee. They've won 13 games. If I were on the plane right now, I'd be massaging Steve McNair's legs, getting them ready for next week. This team is dangerous. They got the heart of a champion. Watch out for Tennessee.
Well, 12-4, one of the highest records ever for a wild card team. And if you tuned in late, you missed a dandy. First time Tennessee had the ball, they went right down the field. This is the rookie Chris Brown for a touchdown. So it looked like they would have their way with Baltimore, but then all of a sudden, this is Will Demps with the pick, and McNair threw only 7 interceptions all year.
Yeah, 3 in one game. He hadn't done that for a year and a half. And I think this is what changed the game for Jeff Fisher. He basically said, Steve McNair is not going to lose this game for me. I'm going to take it out of his hands as well.
Well, that was a 56-yard interception for a touchdown by Demps. And then in the red zone, which really cost Tennessee, John.
Critical turnover really impacted the momentum of this football game. Fortunately for Tennessee, they overcame it, but that's a mistake you can't make in playoffs.
That was Ed Reed with the pick, and then it was 10-7 Baltimore at the half until McNair to Justin McCairns, beating Baxter 49 yards late third. It's 14-10. A roll interception, an Anderson field goal at 17-10. But all of a sudden, here come the Ravens. Anthony Wright to the Stormin' Mormon. Todd Heath, 35 yards, he beats the tank.
Double move, and it's the only way it seems like the Ravens could move the ball is put their tight end out wide.
But then Gary Anderson with 29 seconds to go. Yeah, good. It's 46-yard field goal, and Gary Anderson, who has 552 field goals regular and postseason combined.
Is that all?
That number 552 was as big as he's ever made as the Titans move on as they beat the Ravens 20-17. Now, because they're the 5 seed, and depending on tomorrow's result in the 6 seed Denver against 3 seed Indianapolis game, they don't know yet who they're going to play. But we do know that New England is home on Saturday. We know that Kansas City is home on next Sunday. So Tennessee, unlikely that they could get a home game. They could if it's Denver and them at the end. But how dangerous is Tennessee? They would essentially have to win 3 road
Coming into
games.
this game, I talked about Steve McNair and his health, and he does not. He started the game looking very healthy with his quarterback draw. He left the game at the end of the game, to me, very wounded. I'm worried about him going forward.
Anytime you look at a team that's won 13 games, that's a consistent football team. They've got a great defensive club. They do have the MVP. If they can get them well, and Eddie George is running as confident as he did today, they got a chance to win every single one of these games.
Well, if you're impressed with defense, and we certainly are, certainly everybody should be impressed with the defenses that has been put forth by the Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. The late game coming up is the NFC South. Carolina Panthers. They are hosting the Dallas Cowboys back in the playoffs. With defense galore, this game could be in the low teens. Al Michaels, John Madden on the call. Gentlemen.
Thanks, Chris. This scene took place about 45 minutes ago out in the middle of the field. Bill Parcells of the Cowboys ready to coach his 18th postseason game. John Fox, who has been involved in a lot of postseason games as an assistant, is now head coaching his first playoff game. And John talked about the key to winning in postseason.
Well, I think the team that executes under pressure, and there are two types of pressure: those you feel and those you apply. And I think in the playoff run, you have to cut that pressure away from you and not feel it. And I think the team that does not feel the pressure usually wins.
John, people are always matching up players with postseason experience against players who don't have it. But what about the coaches? Even though John Fox has coached in postseason as an assistant, does Parcells have a decided advantage tonight because he has so much more head coaching experience?
Yeah, he does. And, you know, John Fox was just talking about pressure. Everyone has pressure. I guarantee every player feels pressure down there. Every coach feels pressure. But Bill Parcells has to have an advantage because he's been there before. And the thing is, the pressure is caused by the finality. I mean, you know that any mistake is going to be magnified. You know that the winning team goes on and the losing team's out of the tournament, and that's big.
Bill Parcells, again, seeking his third Super Bowl championship, but that's down the line. Good game tonight, Chris. Look forward to it.
All right, Al, John, thank you very much. As John Fox told me this week, two different types of pressure. The pressure you feel, the pressure you apply. Which way will it go? We'll be back on AutoTrader.com Between Game Report.
Ready for an amazing deal from Pizza Hut? Get a meat lovers or
AutoTrader.com Wild Card Between Games Report. Brought to you by AutoTrader.com. Sell your car fast on the ultimate automotive classified site.
Well, certainly an inspirational figure, linebacker coach and a former outstanding linebacker in the NFL, Sam Mills, on the sidelines as the Panthers get set for their first playoff appearance since 1996. Well, 2 years ago, the Carolina Panthers were 1-15. So what John Fox has done in 2 seasons, leading them to a, we have frogs every now and then in the studio, leading them to an NFC South title is impressive. But the Panthers have had more on their minds than just winning football games. Their linebackers coach, former NFL standout at that position, Sam Mills, and current Panthers linebacker Mark Fields, both have become warriors in a more important battle, the battle against beating cancer. Lisa Guerrero has the story.
Mark and Sam are probably two of the most physically, mentally, and spiritually strong people I've ever come in contact with.
When you talk about Mark, he is as physically gifted as any football player in the league right now. And Sam, I still think Sam can play. I've said that for 3 or 4 years.
Early in the Panthers' preseason, Fields informed his coaches and teammates that he had been diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease. And just days later, Mills announced that he had cancer of the small intestine.
When you hear the C word, I think it puts fear in everybody's heart. I don't care, what pedestal you're on or what walk of life you're from. And it's the ultimate. I mean, you're dealing with, a disease that can take your life away.
The gravity of the situation, it was almost indescribable. It was the room was totally silent, and you were afraid to move. You really couldn't even think beyond trying to process that information.
First, it was kind of like, well, guys, Mark's not here today, and this is why. And you're kind of like, whoa. You take a step back, like, you got to be kidding me. And then, several weeks after that, it's like, well, Sam's ill. It's like, what else is going to happen this year? What else could possibly happen?
When confronted with the devastating news, the Panthers had a choice. They could have allowed their emotions to overtake them and cast a heavy pall over their season, or they could rally behind their cancer-stricken colleagues. Their choice was clear. On their march to the playoffs, each player and coach has worn a special reminder close to their hearts.
I think everybody takes pride in wearing it every week. When you put it on game day, you're putting 2 other people on with you. And those 2 people embody what we think the Carolina Panthers are about, a team of hunger, of desire, and of great character people.
What the Carolina Panthers have learned this season is a lesson in priorities. While it may not be fashionable for football players to say, "I love you" in these days of ultimate cool, these emotions are understood. They've endured a struggle and perhaps have realized that it's not always the success, but sometimes the struggle that summons the essence of who we really are.
Football players, while they are very emotional, passionate in playing, they may not express that same feeling when it comes to interpersonal relationships. That's been one of the things that I think has been real special, is the perspective of being able to, hey, you know, we love you and we miss you. And you don't hear that a lot in the NFL. You know, it's a little bit different situation.
Carolina Panthers are showing their support for Mark Fields and Sam Mills before tonight's game with the Cowboys. They're presenting a check in the amount of $117,000 to the American Cancer Society. They've donated $500 per touchdown, field goal, and sack throughout the year, and that is a very nice gesture, Chris.
Absolutely, Lisa, thank you. A little different motivation going this year with the Panthers. And you saw them firsthand twice this year. They're in your division. They won your division. It's real.
Yeah, I've been around tragedy as a coach before, but this is sincere. These men are rallying around Mark Fields and Sam Mills. They love these guys, and it's brought this team very close together. And you can only pray and hope for the best with these two guys because they're quality people.
Absolutely. And you see, just seeing them on the sidelines, you know that's a big lift. Well, it'll be in these guys' hands, perhaps. Quincy Carter, quarterback, Dallas Cowboys. Or a guy that's engineered many a fourth quarter comeback this year, Jake Delhomme of the Panthers.
What's the deal with the LG VX6000 camera phone from...
Welcome back to two coaches today. Bill Parcells, 11-6 in the postseason. John Fox, his first postseason game. So on paper, maybe there's a difference there. But as we get set for Dallas at Carolina, keys to the game, Stephen, Coach. What do you think? What are we looking at today?
I think Carolina's got the best front seven in football. They're going to put pressure on Quincy Carter. He's going to try to throw the ball too many times and make too many mistakes. Steven Davis runs the football and controls the game, and Carolina wins.
I think Steve Smith's got to make some big plays for Carolina to win today. I do agree. Quincy Carter's going to throw it 40 to 45 times. His effectiveness determines the outcome of this game.
Casey Cundiff, the two kickers in the low-scoring game. We saw a kicker win the first one. Bill Parcells back in the playoffs. We'll be back with a final word in a moment. The Carolina Panthers getting set as NFC South champs at home against the Dallas Cowboys, going up against Bill Parcells. Any wrinkles? What do you think? Who wins this?
We know the blueprint for Bill Parcells in the playoffs. Dominant defense, kick field goals, and no turnovers. And that's the way Dallas needs to do it to win.
I've already seen one playoff team lose at home. I think this is another case where Dallas's defense is just that good tonight.
Tell you what, we'll get to reassemble at halftime. Is that a deal?
Sounds good.
The Dallas Cowboys back in the playoffs against the Carolina Panthers. We'll see you at halftime. Enjoy the game.
AutoTrader.com wildcard between games report. Brought to you by AutoTrader.com. Sell your car fast on the ultimate automotive classified site. The Cowboys and the Panthers are next after this from our ABC stations.
Yo, it's that time of year again when days, tempers, and football seasons get short. Writing's on the wall. Everything you work for, it's all up there in two little numbers. That's what got you here, and that's why you still standing. But guess what? Those numbers don't mean nothing no more. It's the playoffs now. That means heart. That means desire. That means you bust out everything you got and don't leave nothing on the field. And nobody knows that better than this guy, Coach Parcells. Yeah, he been up in the world before, but now he got his boys believing they can win this fight. But those cats from Carolina, they ain't shaking at all. Nah, because they love a good back alley brawl. So here we are. Huh? Buckle up, y'all. What? Because you know it's coming. Let's go! Full speed, non-stop, and only one way out. So now, are you ready for some football? Huh? Come on, let's go, baby. Let's go.
You wanted the best. Yeah, you got the best.
Raise the curtain to the band. Did someone say light?
The stage is set for a playoff fight.
Neither team now can afford a loss.
Time to get it on. Find out who's the boss. Your ticket is punched.
The stars are in sight.
It's time to kick off this wild card fight. Hit it! Hit it!
Come on and hit it.
I can hear you. Come on and get ready. Get ready.
Are you ready for some football?
A postseason party. Let's party hardy. It's do or die time.
So let's get it started.
Oh yeah!
Players at the ready. Al and John at the mic. The NFL playoffs coming on. That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
For the first time in 7 years, the NFL playoffs come to Charlotte, North Carolina on this 63-degree night with 70,000 towel-waving fans at Ericsson Stadium, welcoming out onto the field the NFC South champion Carolina Panthers. And they get ready to do battle with the Dallas Cowboys and head coach Bill Parcells, with the winner advancing and the loser going home. Al Michaels, John Madden, Lisa Guerrero, welcome to Charlotte. And of course, the big story in the offseason last year, Jerry Jones hiring Bill Parcells to coach the Dallas Cowboys. And some of the primary questions were, could those two type A personalities coexist? Could Parcells restore respectability to a team that had finished 5-11 in each of the prior 3 seasons? And could Parcells quickly get this team into Super Bowl contention? The answers, yes, yes, and yes. Here they are in the playoffs for the first time since 1999, and they've already beaten Carolina. They did that in November during the regular season. Now for the Panthers, also a tremendous road very quickly to the top, as they were 1-15 2 years ago. Then John Fox came in. He was the head coach. 7-9 last year. They won 11 games this season. Here they are in postseason. And first of all, John, let's talk about Parcells and the Cowboys. Bill goes into the laboratory in Dallas, and what does he do?
You know what happens? I think when he walks into the laboratory, he gives them instant credibility. Now they're back to the Dallas Cowboys again. And when you talk to the players and you say, what did you think when Jerry Jones hired Bill Parcells? They all said, he's a winner, and we're going to be a winner. And then they started out their season. They won that second Monday night game in New York. Then they started to believe. They rolled it from there. They have the top defense in the NFL. And we're talking to Bill Parcells last night. He says, we have to be in an attack mode on offense, and I agree with that.
On the other side, what did John Fox do in the Carolina laboratory?
You know, I think it all started a year ago. I think it started at the end of last season when they went 4-5. So they went into the offseason winning 4 of their last 5 games, knowing that they were a pretty good team, but they needed some parts. Stephen Davis, a running back, was one of those parts. He has to have a big game tonight, and the other guy was Jake Delhomme, the quarterback.
If Dallas wins, they go to Philadelphia next week. If Carolina wins, they go to St. Louis next week. Cowboys, Panthers, coming up from Charlotte. In Charlotte now, the Panthers quarterback is Jake Delhomme, who came out of nowhere to guide his team to the NFC South Championship.
It's fun when you win. And then, you know, the stakes get a little higher in high school and in college and now in the NFL and now the playoffs. You know, there's nothing like walking in the locker room after a game, after a win.
And now as we get ready for this NFC wildcard playoff, the Visa Skycam will provide spectacular views of all the action. Kickoff coming up.
Presentation of the National Football League.
Moments away from the kickoff of tonight's game between the Cowboys and the Panthers. Let's go down to the field and Lisa Guerrero. Lisa.
Thanks, Al. 6 of the 12 quarterbacks in this year's postseason are making their playoff debuts, including both of tonight's starting quarterbacks. I had an opportunity to sit down with Dallas's Quincy Carter to ask him what he relished most about this opportunity.
I think as a quarterback, everybody wants to go down as a winner. And when you get in these situations and you're playing in the playoffs, you want to be known as a winner. And that's where I want to stake my name at right now. So It's on the line right now, and this is the place where I want to be.
Well, if Carter wants to be a winner tonight, he's going to have to reverse a recent trend of poor play away from home. As a matter of fact, the Cowboys have lost 3 of their last 4 games on the road. Carter's thrown 8 picks as opposed to just 3 touchdowns. Al, back to you.
Well, Lisa, Bill Parcells is used to having a quarterback throw more interceptions than touchdowns and take them to postseason and a Super Bowl. It last happened after the '86 season when Phil Simms actually had more interceptions than touchdown passes. And by the time that was done, Simms was 22 of 25 in one of the great Super Bowl performances ever, and the Lombardi Trophy was New York's.
I was there, and that was one of the great days for Bill Parcells, for the New York Giants, and for Phil Simms.
So Bill Parcells, who not that many years ago said, I will never coach again, or write it down, but not that many people believed him, and here he is back in the playoffs with John Casey, an original Panther, kicking off to Michael Bates, who was a Panther for a number of years. In fact, as a run-back specialist here, he went to the Pro Bowl 5 times, picked up by Dallas at the end of this season from the Jets. And with flashballs popping, here we go from Charlotte, as the ball is fielded at the 11-yard line, and Bates, who won a bronze medal in the '92 Barcelona Olympics in the 200-meter dash, to the 30. And here's the Dallas offense.
Quincy Carter, Georgia. Troy Hamburg, Savannah State. Richie Anderson, Penn State.
Joey Galloway, The Ohio State University. Terry Glenn, Ohio State.
Dan Campbell, Texas A&M.
Flozell Adams, Michigan State.
Larry Allen, Centennial High School.
Matt Lair, Virginia Tech.
Andre Gerard, Colorado.
Kurt Bowlers, Notre Dame.
Larry Allen, Centennial High School, also Sonoma State, and the guy who figures to wind up in the Hall of Fame someday. 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line. Carter, that short drop, quick flip. Jason Witten, rookie tight end, who's had a nice first season. Gain of 6, 2nd down and 4.
You know, sometimes you start a game and you just want to run it in there to kind of get everyone feeling good about themselves. And sometimes you want to do this. Drop back, get your pass protection, get your quarterback off to a good start. And here's how he does it. I mean, he goes with 2 tight ends, and he hits Jason Witten on that one. But that's not a bad start or a bad way to start Quincy Carter.
2nd and 4, and again to the outside quickly. And this time it's Terry Glenn reaching but can't get the first down. It'll be 3rd and 1, stopped by Reggie Howard. Here's the Carolina defenders.
Julius Peppers, University of North Carolina.
Brinson Buckner, Clemson University.
Chris Jenkins, University of Maryland.
Mike Rucker, Nebraska. Greg Favors, MSU Bulldogs.
Dan Morgan, Miami. Will Witherspoon, Georgia.
Ricky Manning, UCLA. Mike Minter, Nebraska. Deion Grant, University of Tennessee. Reggie Howard, University of Memphis.
That defensive line is very tough. Chris Jenkins, number 77, will be going to the Pro Bowl. 3rd and 1, it's the play fake, and then the pass is caught for a first down to Jason Witten. So, John, they come out anything but arch conservative.
Yeah, and the thing is, they caught Carolina, and they had 8 in the box. They were up there for short yardage, so they get a great play fake. And then Quincy Carter comes out of the play fake and hits this guy wide open. Now watch, the key here is the play fake right there. You see what that does to the defense? It holds the pass rush, it brings everyone up, and it lets Quincy Carter get the ball out there. See the fake? See how it holds that defense? And then he has this guy wide open for a first down.
So Carter begins the game with 3 passes. He's 3 for 3 for 12 yards. Terry Glenn is the man in motion, going all the way across the field. And Carter's 4th pass of the night is incomplete. So his first missed attempt, Jason Witten, the intended receiver, covered by Mike Minter. 2nd down.
You know, it's interesting, and you know, we were saying how Bill Parcells said we have to come out in an attack mode, and I agree with that. I mean, you can't get to the playoffs and then go conservative. And I think that if you go conservative, if you just run, this defense of Carolina is just too good, and they're just going to bunch up on you. So what he's trying to do is loosen up this defense now, so maybe he can get some running later.
2nd and 10. Richie Anderson in the backfield. Anderson was their leading receiver this season. And to the backside, it's juggled and dropped by Anderson. Pass a little high and behind him, but Richie, who played for Parcells in New York, has come over and has been a very valuable commodity.
And I'll tell you, this would have been a great play, Al, because they were coming from a blitz on the side of the screen. This is what you look for. Look, here comes a blitz. Here goes Richie Anderson. He's out here. If he gets that ball, look, all the blitzes are up there. He is wide open down the sideline. That would have been a big, big play for the Cowboys.
Well designed, poorly executed. 3rd down and 10, 2 minutes into the game. 70,000 towels pinwheeling. And the pass is caught. But since Antonio Bryant had to reach down, he could only get it up to the 46-yard line. And Dallas is forced to punt.
And that's one of the things with Quincy Carter. He doesn't have great accuracy. And if you run a crossing pattern like that on 3rd down and you're going to throw underneath the 1st down marker, you have to get it out there where your guy can catch it and continue to run.
Toby going to punt. Steve Smith, who's a wideout and a great kick returner, ran the first punt of the game in New York back for a touchdown last week. Short kick that is down at the 21-yard line. 32-yard boot, and the Carolina Panthers take over for the first time with 12:27 to go in the opening quarter. Stephen Davis and the offense coming out for the Panthers. Our game is being brought to you by Bud Light, with a great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down. Make it a Bud Light. Microsoft, your potential, our passion. And McDonald's. Tonight's aerial coverage provided by Bud Light. As you look down into Erickson Stadium, constructed in the 90s, this team came into the National Football League in '95. Stadium right on the edge of downtown. And now from the 22-yard line, Stephen Davis, the former Redskin, picks up 4. Let's take a look at the Carolina offense.
Jake Delhomme, UL Lafayette.
Stephen Davis, Auburn University.
Brad Hoover, Western Carolina.
Steve Smith, Utah.
Muhsin Muhammad, Michigan State.
Chris Mangum, Ole Miss.
Todd Stussy, Cal Berkeley. Geno James, Auburn.
Jeff Mitchell, Florida.
Kevin Donnelly, North Carolina.
Jordan Gross, University of Utah.
Jordan Gross, a rookie, has started all season. He was their #1 pick out of Utah. And now Davis has made such a big difference this year. Up to the 29, 3rd and 3. Here's the Dallas D.
Greg Ellis, UNC.
Willie Blade, Mississippi State. Leroy Glover, San Diego State.
Ebenezer Eckelbein, North Carolina. Al Singleton, Temple.
Dad Wynn, Texas A&M.
Dexter Coakley, Appalachian State. Terrence Newman, Kansas State.
Darren Woodson, Arizona State.
Roy Williams, Oklahoma.
Mario Edwards, Florida State.
2 great safeties, the veteran Woodson in his 16th postseason game. And Roy Williams, 2nd year out of Oklahoma. On 3rd down and 3, DeLong throws to the outside, caught by Smith. Inside move to spring free into Cowboy territory. Being chased to the end zone and is knocked down just short of the end zone. Pete Hunter able to save the touchdown. But it's 70 yards, and what a move on the sideline to turn it back inside by Steve Smith.
Yeah, and when you have a guy like Steve Smith that is so explosive, all you have to do is get him the ball out there, and you're going to see Terrence Newman is right up on him. He misses a tackle right there. Roy Williams comes across. He misses a tackle. And once you miss 2 tackles on Steve Smith, he is going to take it all the way. That's a 3rd missed tackle. That guy can move. You miss there, you miss there, and this guy is a racehorse.
His longest play of the year, 67 yards. He's their leading receiver, and it's 1st down and goal from the 1. And the Cowboys bunch up Davis just short of the line of scrimmage.
I know you talk about things that kill coaches, and that's a play. I mean, that they had the coverage right there. They had tight coverage on him, and they had him double covered. And I know that's what Bill Parcells thinking. We had the perfect defense for that play, and the guy catches the ball. We missed 2 tackles, and it becomes a long play when it should have been a play that was nothing.
It was a 3rd and 3, and he ran away from the rookie Terrence Newman, and Hunter was only able to get him because he had the angle on him. 2nd down and goal from the 1.5. And DeLong's going to throw a fade into the corner of the end zone, and that's incomplete, intended for Muhsin Muhammad. So 3rd down and goal.
And they got the safety, Darren Woodson, who normally covers tight ends, is out here in Muhammad. So that's a pretty good matchup for Carolina. And it's just outside Muhammad's fingertips. He runs a pretty good pattern. He got him in and he gave Delhomme pretty much room to throw that. And that was just a poor throw. I mean, that was Jake Delhomme's fault.
Every time the Panthers have been on the 1-yard line this year, they have scored a touchdown, mainly because of Stephen Davis, 48. And they give it to him. And Davis is going to get bunched up short of the goal line. So a tremendous goal line stand for Dallas. And now for John Fox on 4th down and goal with Williams and Ellis providing the impetus for the stop. Do you go for 3? Do you go for 7? He sends the field goal unit in.
Yep, he's already made that decision. Watch Al Singleton. He's number 51. He's going to do a good job right here of taking on the tight end. That's what you have to do, is take on the tight end, hold that position, hold the hole right there, and then just push him off and get to the inside and get the stop. And then gang tackle him. And that's one thing about this Cowboy defense. They have great pursuit.
The left-footer John Casey, 18-yard field goal. And so the Panthers had 1st and goal at the 1. Small win there for Dallas because Carolina held at 3. Panthers take the early lead. 8:40 to go in the period. Right there, big play made by Hunter, John, and that saved 4 points.
Right, and the guy that missed the tackle is sitting right next to him. The guy that saved him, he's saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. You saved me 4 points.
It's a bouncing ball. Bates had trouble finding the ball. He backed up on it and then picks it up on a couple of hops and brings the ball back to the 21-yard line. 3-0 Carolina in this NFC wild card game from Charlotte.
Other side, he's on the side down here. The play to Steve Smith is all the way across the field. Now watch, that's why you say, you know, a play is never over. You're never out of it. Pete Hunter comes all the way across the field and saves a touchdown for the Dallas Cowboys.
4-point play. Now at the 22, the Cowboys have run 6 plays, all passes. And now the first run is Hambrick. Up to the 25-yard line. Hambrick taking over for the departed Emmitt Smith. What about the Cowboys season now? September 15th versus the Giants, a Monday night game after they had lost on opening day to Atlanta. Behind in the last 11 seconds and won the game. They ran the most plays in the NFL this season and were 4th in time of possession. And they had the #1 defense in the National Football League. So some very impressive statistics. And of course, Parcells through the years has loved to play what he calls clock ball. Eat the clock. Incomplete here, intended for Terry Glenn.
You know, and that's a pretty good blueprint for success. You know, is time of possession. That means ball control on offense, and then the #1 defense in football. But I'll tell you one thing. It's tough. They don't have a great running back. And the Dallas Cowboys need a better running back. And they have a quarterback that doesn't have a lot of accuracy. And those things are tough because he's had like 3 or 4 things open so far in this game, Quincy Carter has, and he's missed them.
Yeah, their primary back is Hambrick, 972 yards, but Parcells telling us last night, my best runner is Richie Anderson. 3rd down and 7. And that is almost picked off. Chris Jenkins, who knocks down a lot of balls at the line of scrimmage, and the guy who will be going to the Pro Bowl for the 2nd time in his 3-year career, makes it 4th down and 7.
You're going to see a blitz coming here. You see the pressure coming right here from this side over here. Quincy Carter starts to feel it, so he has to get rid of the ball right there, and he almost threw it right to Chris Jenkins.
3 and out for Dallas, with Toby going to kick. And Steve Smith, who had that 70-yard reception, is back to receive. Fielded at the 34 by Smith. Can't get blocking. Brings it back to the 37. Tackled there by Jeff Robinson. Delhomme in the offense coming back out almost halfway through the first quarter. Carolina 3, Dallas nothing. Tomorrow night you'll see the Nokia Sugar Bowl from New Orleans. The Heisman Trophy winner Jason White leading #1 Oklahoma against #2 LSU for the BCS National Championship. SC doing its part, of course, in the Rose Bowl the other day on top of the other polls. But it's Oklahoma and LSU to wrap up college football 2003/04 tomorrow night. Now DeLone from the 38-yard line on a roll throws it to the right side where it's caught by Ricky Prohl, who makes the catch there. Ricky Prohl played his college football at Wake Forest in the state, 14th year in the league, and a guy who made a big catch for the St. Louis Rams against Tampa in the NFC Championship game in '99.
Doesn't it seem like over his career that Ricky Prohl has made a lot of big catches? Because he's usually a third down receiver. You know, that third receiver you put in on third down, and he always seems to make big plays, big first downs when you need them, and as you said, touchdowns.
But has never been to the Pro Bowl as Davis gets the first down. And it's one of those crazy things, John, where Ricky Prohl has now been around long enough that he's caught more passes than Fred Biletnikoff. Meanwhile, big early comeback on opening day against the Jaguars. They were down 17-0. DeLone came in to replace Rodney Peete and never gave up the ball for the rest of the season. Stephen Davis set a team record for rushing and a career high as well, and after he escapes Washington. And then 7-0 were the Panthers in games decided by 3 or fewer points, which is amazing. They did, however, lose an overtime game by 6 to Atlanta on a touchdown. And that pass is low, but caught, hauled in by Jermaine Wiggins for a gain of 5. And for DeLone, John, and we're seeing this story so many times now, you know, a guy is undrafted, hangs around, backup quarterback, sometimes number 3, goes to Europe, barely plays, and then all of a sudden starting.
Well, in fact, one year he went to Amsterdam, and he wasn't even the starting quarterback. The starting quarterback on that team was Kurt Warner. He said he called home and told his parents, he said, you know, I don't think there's any way I can play in the NFL. I can't even make NFL Europe as a starter.
He backed up Warner at Amsterdam, then went to Frankfurt and won the NFL Europe title there. And Brad Hoover, the fullback out of West Carolina, 4th-year man, picks up about a yard, setting up a 3rd down and long 3.
You know, one of the guys on this Dallas defense that has been something special for Bill Parcells is a middle linebacker right here, Dat Nguyen. You know, when Bill Parcells first came here, he said, you know, he didn't like little linebackers. He didn't think there was any way Dat Nguyen could play. So Dat Nguyen had to prove that he could play. And Bill Parcells said last night, he said, this guy has really earned my respect. He's one guy that I would never get rid of.
5'11", 243. Davis gets chased and taken down by Woodson. So the safety, Darren Woodson, in his 12th year, looks like a rookie on that play. Follows him to the outside, catches him from behind.
You know, and Darren Woodson, of course, is a safety that can play like a linebacker, and so is Roy Williams. And you're going to see he's up in here. He's up in the gap right here. And you see he's playing like a linebacker position, and then he just blitzes. And the big thing to Stephen Davis that the Cowboys figure is to get him before he gets started.
I said looking like a rookie's speed on that play. Todd Sauerbrunn's kick will go into the end zone. So 44 gross, but only 24 net. And with 4:14 to play in the first quarter, it remains 3-0 Carolina. 4:14 remaining in the first quarter. Carolina trying to win a trip to St. Louis. Dallas trying to win a trip to Philadelphia. 3-0. Panthers on top at a great goal line stand by Dallas. Instead of a touchdown, they limited the Panthers to a field goal, and this is Hambrick taken down for a 2-yard loss. It'll be 2nd down and 12.
And this is going to be tough running against this defense, because if you say who has the best defensive line in the playoffs, I think it's this team, the Carolina Panthers. And we're talking to John Fox the other day. When he came in there, he had to make a decision. How should we build this team? And he decided it would be that guy, number 90, Julius Pepper. They had the second pick in the first round, and he was their choice. And he's the building block. That's how they wanted to build this defense.
Fox said he was very nervous. He said, you don't want to blow the second choice in the draft. And Carter gets hit from behind, by Greg Favors, the outside linebacker, who got an arm on Carter's arm as he released. And Quincy is now 4 of 9 for 16 yards.
You know, the Carolina Panthers felt that the last time they played that they didn't put enough pressure on Quincy Carter. And they let him get comfortable, and they let him dink and dunk and pick and stuff like that. And they said, this is going to be different. We're not going to play him like that. We're going to go after him. We're going to make him uncomfortable. And so far, they've been doing it.
Well, he was 3 of his first 3, and now he's 1 of his last 6. From the 18-yard line on 3rd down and 12. Pressure. Carter gets whacked, and he's lucky he didn't fumble. Reggie Howard came in from the corner from the blind side, and it was all Carter could do to cover up the football.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they didn't do last time and what they're going to do tonight. Reggie Howard, number 23, the right corner. You're going to see him come from the backside. Here he is right there, unblocked. You see Quincy Carter is looking to his right, doesn't see nor feel Reggie Howard. That's the 4th time that they've blitzed the Cowboys tonight. So that's a little different from the last time they played. They figured tonight they have to pressure him.
Toby going kicking out of his end zone, and it's a short kick that bounces at the 36. Takes a minimally favorable bounce for him. And it's down to the 41-yard line. And so Carolina will have a very short field. Jerry Richardson, the owner of the team, the founder of the team, and the driving force behind the expansion franchise being granted here. We have a penalty on the play.
56 of the kicking team. That penalties decline. First down.
That's Brady James. When the NFL decided to expand in 1995, and of course the process went on for a few years, of all towns, you figure, well, Baltimore needed a team and St. Louis was going to get a team, but it wound up Charlotte and Jacksonville, and that's the reason it wound up in Charlotte. That man right there got the team, did all of the grunt work, the due diligence, and got the stadium built.
You know, and he's the second man in the history of football since George Halas that played in the league and later owned the team.
One of Johnny Unitas' favorite targets. Intended for Hoover. How good was Jerry Richardson? Well, there he was as a Colt. 13th round pick in '58. That, of course, was the year of the game for the ages, the overtime game between the Colts and the Giants, the championship. Jerry Richardson on the other end of a pass from number 19.
And look at him now. I played in an all-star game with him. He and I roomed together. And when I first met him, he said, he's from Wofford College. And I said, what? I said, there's no college in Wofford. I said, that's not even a word. From Wofford.
W-O-F-F-O-R-D is DeLone just throws it away into the Cowboy bench.
I couldn't understand him. I said, I'm from Waffle. I said, I've never heard of Waffle. Anyway, it was Wofford College, and then he went on to become Jerry Richardson, and then he took some money. It was, I think they got $3,500 for that playoff, and Carol Rosenblum was the owner of the Colts at the time, and he encouraged his guys to invest, and Jerry started to invest in food franchises and went on from there.
Owns the team right now, a pillar of the community here in Charlotte and through the Carolinas. 3rd down and 10 now at the 41-yard line. Ricky Kroll is the man in motion. Cowboys nearly jump. Flags are thrown. Free play coming up. Caught. First down. Muhsin Muhammad at the 25-yard line. So they got Dallas to jump. And the flag gave them a free play.
Yeah, and that's what they like about Muhsin Muhammad. As you said, he jumps. He's a very physical guy. One of the best blocking wide receivers in football. Stephen Davis says anytime I get a big run, he'll get me a block.
Penalty decline. Play results in. First down.
And Jake DeLone was talking about plays just like this. He said he feels so comfortable with Muhsin Muhammad that if it's close like this, he can just throw it out. And because he is so big and physical and strong, he's going to come down. He's going to make the play for you.
Muhammad and John Casey, the only Panthers still remaining from the team that went to the playoffs and beat Dallas here in '96. Davis gets tripped up by Roy Williams at the line of scrimmage. And to this point in the game, the Panthers have outgained the Cowboys 109 yards to 8.
I think the thing that they did is we were talking about how you have to be able to run to get them up and then pass, and you also have to be able to pass to loosen them up to run. And I think that's what the Panthers have done. I mean, they got that big play to Steve Smith. I think that loosened the Cowboy defense up a little, and then they were able to get a little more running with Stephen Davis.
And they weren't deflated by the fact that they had a 1st and goal after the 70-yard reception. Had to settle for 3. 2nd down and 10. DeLone to the near side, goes to Hoover. There's another missed tackle as he broke away from Coakley, and the crowd chanting Hoover. Picks up 7. Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator of Dallas, he's one of the few guys inherited by Parcells. Bill takes the job, looked around, but Jerry Jones said, you got to look at this guy. Just talk to Mike Zimmer. And Parcells telling us last night he loves this guy.
He said he's the real deal. He said the way he communicates with his players, he reminds Bill of Bill Belichick. He says he's a lot like Bill Belichick, and that's pretty doggone good.
I'll say. 3rd down and 3 from the 20. DeLone to the end zone with double coverage and no flag. Muhsin Muhammad got blanketed there and bracketed with Darren Woodson on one side and Terrence Newman on the other. And so with 1:07 to play, it will be about a 38-yard field goal attempt.
See, and sometimes because you have so much confidence in a guy being physical like Muhammad is, that you will throw that ball into double coverage to him.
John Casey, 13th year in the league, played his college football at Georgia. 38-yard attempt. And Casey is 2 for 2. So we have 62 seconds remaining in the first quarter in this NFC wild card game in Charlotte, where Carolina now leads 6-0. And let's check in with Lisa Guerrero. Lisa.
Thanks very much, Al. Well, Panthers right guard Kevin Donnelly was very much looking forward to the spotlight of tonight's game. Not for himself, not for his teammates, but for a 12-year-old girl by the name of Hope Stout. He met her earlier this season. She's been battling a rare form of bone cancer and has become an inspiration to him. Here's an example of her selflessness. When the Make-A-Wish Foundation asked her what she would like granted, she said she wanted the wishes granted of the other 155 children battling life-threatening illnesses in this region. The cost, about $1 million. Donnelly wants to help her raise it. So far, they've raised about $400,000. For information on how you can help, you can contact the Carolina Panthers. Al?
All right, thank you, Lisa. Kevin, a real good guy. He's been around now for a long time. Picked by the Oilers in the '91 draft and moved with them to Tennessee, then with Miami. And now one of the pillars along the offensive front here for Carolina. Michael Bates to run the kickback. And Bates brings it up to the 32-yard line. So 57 seconds remaining. Who would have ever thought when the season began we'd be doing Carolina and Dallas in the playoffs?
No one. You know, I thought that when Bill Parcells went there that they were going to start to get better, and maybe next year or the year after that. But I had no feeling that they would be here.
Yeah, I mean, the Bill Parcells thing, of course, is there are so many little angles to come in from and all of that. And did you ever think when he said write it down, I'll never coach again 4 years ago, did you believe him?
No, I didn't, because I know Bill Parcells, and he can't live with it, and he can't live without it.
Good way to put it. Joey Galloway breaks free, and Galloway into Carolina territory. Out of bounds at the 25-yard line. Deion Grant forces him out, and Joey Galloway trying to get Dallas moving again. By far their biggest play of the night.
Joey Galloway did the same thing earlier that Steve Smith did. And watch, here's Ricky Manning. He's off him. He comes up. He misses the tackles. Just that little quick pass out there, that little hitch pass. You hit him out there. You got your speed guy. If you miss a tackle, it could be a big play. If you get your corners up and you get them tackling, then it's nothing. But look who is chasing him and running him out of bounds right there was Julius Peppers.
The defensive end in at the end of the play. 25 seconds left in the opening quarter. Carter protected well this time. Throws into traffic. Hambrick makes the catch for a short gain in what should be the final play of the period. So the teams will switch ends of the field. 2 field goals by John Casey providing the scoring. And that is the end of the first quarter in this wild card game with the score Carolina 6, Dallas nothing. And Wild Card Saturday resumes after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Back to Charlotte. Al Michaels, John Madden, and Lisa Guerrero as we go to the second quarter. 2 field goals by John Casey. Carolina leading Dallas 6-0. Second down and 7 now for the Dallas Cowboys at the Panther 36-yard line. And a big hole this time for Hambrick, and the running game gets untracked as Hambrick takes the ball down to the 20-yard line. Until then, he had carried twice for 1 net yard. That's 16 yards here.
Well, they get behind Flozell Adams and Larry Allen. That's not a bad thing to do. That's where their blitzes have come from. When you have Flozell Adams here and Larry Allen there, you're going to get some movement there. And if you get movement there, then you're going to have a pretty big hole. Just turn them out, turn them out, turn them out, and look at that hole to run in. Of course, I think they've been playing Quincy Carter. They've been playing pass. All their blitzes have come from that side when they've been trying to put pressure on Quincy Carter.
Only a 3-man rush, and that's enough to knock the pass down at the line of scrimmage, something that the Panthers have been very proficient at. And they're going to rule this.
A rumble. There's a rumble going on down there.
The pass was knocked down by Brenson Buckner, who may have contended that they were able to come up with the ball on the fly, but no, sir, says Will Coleman. Here's the knockdown.
I think Buckner just knocked the ball down, and then the play was over, and they just kept blocking him and stuff.
The Panthers deflected or knocked down 26 passes this season, #1 in the National Football League in that category.
And the biggest guy is Chris Jenkins because he gets so much push in the middle.
And he blocks kicks too, but Anderson then coughs the ball up at the 11-yard line, and Carolina has it. Mike Minter, the safety, recovers it.
I'll tell you one thing we have in this game is some big hitting safeties. Yeah, we talked about the other sides, but Mike Minter is one of those too. He comes up with it. It looks like Richie Anderson just fumbled the ball as he was going down.
Will Witherspoon had him, but Anderson just coughs it up. A minute into the second quarter. Panthers have it back. While in commercial, Bill Parcells threw the flag to challenge the ruling on the last play, but I can't see how he wins this. I don't see any overturn. Watch the ball begin to come out before the left knee hits right there. And it's pretty clear the knee isn't even down. The ball is coming out, but Parcells taking a chance on a challenge here, which 99 times out of 100, the way we look at it here, he's going to lose.
And I think he's doing exactly what you said. He's taking a chance because there's no way that's not a fumble.
On the field of a fumble. The ball came prior to the runner's knee being down. It is a fumble. Dallas will be charged for first team timeout.
Parcells had been pretty successful challenging calls this season. He was 3 of 5 in challenges, and only Parcells and his opposite number tonight, John Fox, batted better than 500 on challenges this year. Fox was 7 out of 11.
John Fox says that he's taken a couple of those when he felt that he needed a long timeout for his defense. He's done it.
And he's won them too.
He's not thinking he was going to win. Not care if he won, just wanted a long timeout.
On 1st and 10 now, Stephen Davis for a 22-yard gallop up to the 33-yard line, and Darren Woodson knocks him out of bounds.
Yeah, the Cowboys have what they call run blitzes. You know, you have pass blitzes and you have run blitzes. That time the Cowboys came on a run blitz, and Stephen Davis is just going to gash him. They're going to get the pressure coming right here. Now, one thing about a run blitz, if you pick it up and you get by that level right there, you have about 10 more yards. Stephen Davis, just watch the way he runs. And I mean, he has, his power down low, and he has great vision.
From the 34-yard line. And again, it's Davis up to the 38-yard line. Richie Anderson, meanwhile, handled the ball 139 times with only 1 fumble this season, but a costly one here. The numbers to this point in the game. Turnovers, which of course are hugely important in the regular season, are of even more importance in postseason play. I mean, the numbers are staggering in postseason play in the modern era when you win the turnover battle. 2nd down and 6. And Davis now up to the 41-yard line. Coaches are always saying we can't turn the ball over. I mean, it's the one thing, it's the one statistic that's more important, I think, than any other. And there it is. Since 1990 in the regular season percentage is .785. In postseason, .856.
Right, and it's probably more true now than ever because of parity. You know, there's no dominant team. So when you had dominant teams, you could do anything. I mean, you could have penalties, you could have turnovers and still beat the other team because you were that much better. Now it's a very fine line between the good, the average, and the bad.
In effect, you win the turnover battle 5 times in every 6 games. You'll win the game, and that's knocked down at the line of scrimmage by Ebenezer Eckelbon.
You know, the other stat I thought that was interesting is one of the reasons that the Panthers are able to run now is because so far they have over 100 yards of passing, and I think that has somewhat loosened up this Cowboy defense. The Cowboy defense is not dominating nor dictating this game.
Todd Sauerbrunn, 9 years in the league now out of West Virginia. Started his career with the Bears, and this is Todd's first postseason game, not counting the Pro Bowl. He's a regular there. Bouncing ball at the 25-yard line. Joey Galloway is out of bounds at about that spot. They'll mark it at the 25 with 12:03 to go in the opening half in Charlotte, where Carolina leads Dallas 6-0. Great banking center here in North Carolina, and in the foreground, Ericsson Stadium. Charlotte comes back into the NBA. Meanwhile, next year, Robert Johnson buying the team, and they'll be known as the Bobcats. The old Hornets, of course, moved to New Orleans. From the 25-yard line, 1st down. Carter chased, and then the catch is made along the sideline. 6-yard gain for Terry Glenn. Quincy Carter played 3 years of college football at Georgia. He was also a great baseball player, good enough to be picked in the 2nd round by the Chicago Cubs in '96. Then he was picked in the 2nd round in the 2001 draft. Dave Campo was the head coach. He's the 6th Cowboys rookie quarterback to start a game, and there's his mark overall. But he was clearly Jerry Jones's pick in that draft. From the 31-yard line, it's Hambrick picking up about 1.5 yards, 3rd and short. And, you know, John, when Parcells comes in, he inherits him, and he's got Chad Hutchinson, and they have to think about, do we go to the free agent market? In fact, they offered Jake Delhomme a contract in Dallas.
Right, and all he offered Quincy Carter was a chance to come in and compete, and Quincy Carter said, that's all I wanted. But he was the first guy, Bill Parcells was, that told him how to be a professional and what he had to do and how he had to prepare to make the run, and that was his biggest change.
Wearing Don Meredith's old number. Richie Anderson to the outside. Can he turn the corner? He cannot. Witherspoon comes up to make the tackle, and Howard helps to finish him off. 4th down.
You know, that's one of the problems when you pull a 350-pound tackle to be your lead. The back has to wait a little for that 350 pounds to get moving to make something happen. Flozell Adams didn't make the block, and there was nothing Anderson could do.
Toby going ready to punt for the 4th time tonight. Dangerous Steve Smith back to return it, and again it's another short and wobbly kick. Very short, very wobbly, and very ugly as well, because that one will come back almost to the 50-yard line. They'll spot it at the Carolina 49, a 17-yard kick.
You're right, that's downright ugly.
Yeah. This is my Saturday night.
Jake Delhomme came in on opening day. They were trailing 14-0 at the half. He gets into the game at 17-0 Jacksonville, wins the game, and never looks back.
I did the first game that he ever started, and it was for the New Orleans Saints against the Dallas Cowboys, and he beat them in New Orleans.
He didn't make very many starts in New Orleans, mainly on the bench for 6 years as Chris Mangum is taken down to the line of scrimmage. But he had a good day that day, too.
Oh, he had a great day. I mean, you know, he came in, and no one knew how to pronounce his name. It was Delahome, you know, and all those things. And here he is. He threw 2 touchdown passes. He ran for another touchdown and beat the Cowboys, and we're going to the playoffs that year. So it wasn't a bad Cowboy team.
Then he went right back on the bench and backed up Aaron Brooks. 2nd down and 10 from the 49-yard line. Davis. Well, here's John Fox and his thoughts about his quarterback.
I think leadership comes to mind. He has a great passion. He's contagious. He has what I call it in a player. And sometimes it's hard to put into words, but Jake has that unique ability to lead and make people believe.
He's got it.
Yeah, and it's pretty good. Dan Henning, the offensive coordinator, called it pizzazz. He said our offense needed some pizzazz, and he said that's what Jake Delhomme brings to you. You know, the passion, the fight, the life, all those kind of things that kind of probably equal it.
Yeah, it is 7 game-winning drives in the 4th quarter or overtime, more than, let's say, guys like Montana ever had in a season, the Marino. And a flag comes in on the underthrown ball intended for Steve Smith. Mario Edwards with the coverage, and Parcells is going to say not catchable.
I'll tell you, Jake Delhomme just slung that one. Is it slung or slinged?
I believe it's slung.
Yeah, well, anyway, he just slung it, and as you say, it was short, and maybe it was uncatchable, but if there's going to be a pass interference, it's going to be on Mario Edwards.
Well, he's going both ways on this. He signaled interference on both guys.
Offense, 27 defense. Those penalties offset. Repeat, 3rd down.
It seems like anytime you see Mario Edwards, that's the thing to do, is throw on him, because you're going to get a pass interference or he's going to get a pass interference. I don't know that that's not a pass interference.
Well, he called it both ways. Smith made the initial contact and Edwards held him up. It's like one of those calls in hockey where you don't know which way to call it. You call it on both guys.
And then probably the 3rd way could have been no call because it couldn't have been caught anyway.
Right.
So, I mean, probably the way it ended up is the right thing.
Back once we started. 3rd and 8. Deshaun Foster in the game, replacing Stephen Davis. And the pass is caught on a slant by Steve Smith for a 1st down. At the 34-yard line, tackled by Terrence Newman, 15 yards on the reception.
Yep, and they caught the Cowboys in a blitz, and they're working on Terrence Newman because he has no help. I mean, once you get inside, if you have a blitz, then once you get inside on a slant, there's no help there. So you just get that ball on the way, and you start to run away from everything. See, there can't be a linebacker in there to help you because the linebackers are blitzing. So he has a wide-open pass and a wide-open lane.
They have Davis back in the game now. As the Soul set back, play fake, throw underneath, intended for Davis in traffic. 2nd down and 10.
You see that wristband that Jake Delhomme has? This is impossible for me now. It'd be impossible for me to read. But on his left wrist, he has all the plays. He has 150 plays on that wristband. Here's a copy of it right there. So that would be about, what, 38 in 4 columns. It'd be 38, 38 here, 38 here, 38, 38 here. I have no idea how you see those plays, but they just call in a number, and he has to look down at that play and make that play call in the huddle.
This guy could obviously read the bottom of any eye chart. Delhomme throws, and it's caught for a 1st down by Steve Smith, who gets spun down by Terrence Newman, the #1 draft choice out of Kansas State.
I'll tell you, Jake Delhomme is starting to look like he belongs in this game. I mean, he is starting to feel very comfortable, and with that comfort, you know, is coming a lot of confidence. And you just see here, just Steve Smith, he just turns around Terrence Newman. I mean, he just gets him going up, like, because What you worry about is him going deep, so he just stops and comes back. But again, it all starts here. Good protection. You make a good solid pocket so that he can step up and make that throw.
Panthers trying to take advantage, starting on a short field after the 17-yard punt. Davis to the outside. And you wonder if Steve Spurrier would still be in Washington if Stephen Davis had been more a part of the offense in Washington last year and had stayed this season.
If he just would have used it and said, okay, let's make that part of the deal, part of the thing that helps you pass the ball is a running game, because that's what is going on right here is the Cowboys blitz, and then they can get the passing game going, and then if they want to back off for the pass, then they can get Stephen Davis in the running game going.
Davis has been bothered in the second half of the season by an ankle injury. They've had to spot him. Missed the game down the stretch. Second down and 10. DeLone throwing to the outside, and Davis dropping that. And Davis is the kind of back who rarely has a pass thrown to him. He's had a couple here on this drive, but through the season, Davis, who played in 14 games, caught only 14 balls, and that's a very small number for a primary running back.
Yeah, and that's what he is. I mean, he's a primary running back. He's not a pass receiving running back, but I'll tell you, he's a tough guy. I asked him the other day, I said, how's your ankle? He said, it's not my ankle. He said, it's both ankles and my knee. And I think when you get into the 17th game of a season, every running back who is a workhorse like Stephen Davis is going to have multiple injuries.
He has plenty of company. Third down and 10 at the 23-yard line, and DeLome is going to take a timeout. Play clock was all the way down. Timeout, Carolina, with 6:17 to go in the half. Panthers 6, Cowboys nothing. Back in Charlotte, the Dallas defense #1 in passing yards allowed per game, and the opponents completed less than 50% tops there. Third defensively against the pass and pass rating, and of course #1 overall defensively. And DeLone, who completed only 9 balls in the first meeting between these two teams this year, 9 of 24, is already 8 of 15. Now 3rd and 10 from the 23-yard line, and they're going to keep it on the ground, and Davis is going to spin to the outside and go in for the touchdown. Mario Edwards, the last guy to have a chance, fell down on the play. 23 yards on the ground on 3rd and 10.
That's the second time the Panthers have got a big run on 3rd and long. The Cowboys playing pass, and the Panthers just gash them.
Casey for the point after. Davis with the game's first touchdown. They took a timeout with the clock going down to 0. Call a run on 3rd and 10. And come up with 7. A 17-yard punt put him in position at midfield to march in for the score.
Yeah, it's a double lead. You're going to see the tight end here and the fullback. They're going to lead. And you see they start here. Now they come right back here. You got a lead there and a lead there. And Stephen Davis just gets right behind them. I'll tell you, he has great vision. We talked about that, and he said that he just trusts his instincts. He said that he realizes over the years that the first thing he sees and the first cut that he makes is always the right one. See, now there's a block right there, the wham block, the lead block there, the vision, the cutting off those blocks. The wham block is when that H-back or tight end comes in and traps a defensive lineman. The lead block is a fullback leading on a linebacker. The run, you know what that is.
So the Cowboys find themselves down 13-0, and Casey to kick off. Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator, looking at the pictures, and the ball is sent down into the direction of Bates. And Michael Bates, the former Panther, can bring it back to the 22-yard line. With 6 minutes, 3 seconds remaining in the opening half. The Cowboys winless this year in 5 games when trailing by 7 or more. That's the situation they find themselves in right now. More than 7 points.
You know, and that was the difference in the last game. Remember, the Panthers fumbled the opening kickoff. The Cowboys recovered it. They didn't score a touchdown, but they kicked a field goal, started up 3-0, and the Panthers were never able to get the lead again.
Now from the 22-yard line. Up the middle. Troy Hambrick. You know, you talk to Bill Parcells and everybody congratulating Bill and what a marvelous job and all that. He never wants to hear congratulations until he holds the Lombardi Trophy. You know, he has a coach's show. What he should do is call Larry David and say, can I borrow the name of your show from my show? Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's Bill Parcells.
Right, and that's what he says. You don't accept kudos. You're not done until you're done. And he says, as a coach and as a player, you never admire your work.
2nd down and 9 from the 23-yard line. Hambrick up to the 28-yard line.
You know, and this is a problem here for Bill Parcells and his team here is his defense is really the strength. But then when you get down, you're down 13-0. Now at some point your offense has to take over, so you don't have a great running game. And then you have a quarterback who it's going to be on his shoulders right now. You know, for the rest of this game, it'll probably be on Quincy Carter's shoulders to make some plays. If he does, they have a chance. If he doesn't, then the Panthers are going to beat him.
And as the Jones family looks on, Carter is 7 of 13 for only 53 yards. Short drop, quick pass, and it's Galloway who makes the catch and takes it up to the 47-yard line. So the corner gambled for the Panthers, and Galloway able to make the catch, spin away, and turn it into an 18-yard gain.
Yeah, that's the 3rd or 4th time that's happened in this game where the corner here, it's Reggie Howard. You see, he goes and he takes a bad angle there. I don't know that he could have done anything about that anyway, but they take these little passes and make big plays out of them because of missed tackles and or bad angles by the defensive backs.
Now from the 46-yard line, they send Glenn in motion. Deep drop by Carter this time, who steps up, fires on the run, gets his man Glenn. So he sent Glenn in motion left to right and brought him back all the way across the field. And the crowd is stilled for the moment on a 21-yard pickup.
Right, and you're starting to feel that Quincy Carter just got it, didn't you? That he got that juice or pizzazz or whatever it is on these last 2 plays. I mean, here you see Terry Glenn starts on the right side. He's running a crossing pattern. At some point, he's always going to be open. Quincy Carter had to scramble a little and then threw that ball perfectly on the run.
Now 33-yard line, 1st down for the Cowboys. Back-to-back 1st downs on the last 2 plays. And Carter throws, and that one is incomplete. Intended for Jason Witten, the tight end, with Mike Minter coming into the picture very rapidly. 2nd down.
You know, and that was the thing that they did to him last time. They completed 10 passes to the tight end, and Jason Witten was a big part of that. And I think he's going to continue to be a big part of this Cowboy offense. But the Carolina Panthers came in and said that dink and dunk, that short stuff like they just threw to Witten, they're not going to do that to him tonight.
2nd and 10 now. Hambrick and Anderson both in the backfield. Both can catch the ball. And there's a little shovel to Anderson. And Anderson gets to the 21-yard line. And another Dallas 1st down. That's a 13-yard gain.
Cowboys are getting some good play calling here. I mean, they got some good mixture. They know that that they have to get going now on offense. I mean, it looked like they were stuck in mud there for a while, and then they started making some moves here, passing the ball, shovel pass here to Richie Anderson, just mixing them up. And now they put this Panther defense back on its heels a little.
In effect, a long handoff. Counts as a reception for Richie Anderson, his 1st of the game. Now the ball is given to Hambrick. Hambrick tripped up as he gets out of the backfield at the 19-yard line by the middle linebacker Dan Morgan and Shane Burton as well.
Who was the first guy that you ever knew that threw that shovel pass?
You know who it was. It was Lee Grosscup. He and Jack Curtis at Utah. That's where it came from, the Utah pass.
Yeah. And then every time I see that pass, I swear I think of Lee Grosscup.
You have to. And then people miscall it. They call it a shuffle pass. It's not a shuffle pass. It's a shovel pass.
Shovel pass, right.
2nd down and 8 from the 19-yard line. And Carter ducks and then can't get out of the way of Jenkins after Buckner almost sacked him.
I'm not sure exactly what Chris Jenkins is doing, but he seems to be awfully proud of himself.
Yep.
I'll tell you one thing, he is a big, powerful guy. And when he gets something, he causes more problems right at the line of scrimmage. But watch the jump that he's going to get here. And when that ball is snapped, he ends up back here. Watch him uncoil right there. And he's darn near to Quincy Carter before he gets out of there. That's why Bill Parcells said he's the best defensive tackle in football, Chris Jenkins is. And he said there's a big gap between him and the next one.
2-minute warning and 3rd and long coming up.
Welcome to Sirius, the world's
halftime show. Chris Berman, Steve Young, and John Gruden are in New York. First half analysis and a look back at the earlier game between Tennessee and Baltimore, won by the Titans. And a look at the Nokia Sugar Bowl, a report coming up, the BCS championship game from New Orleans as part of the Lexus halftime show.
Congratulations to the Titans.
Yeah, they advanced. Baltimore goes down. Anderson is the back in this set, trips right, 3rd down and 12 from the 24-yard line. Carter, he's going to take off and can only get to the 19-yard line where Witherspoon makes the tackle. So the Cowboys will have to settle for a field goal attempt. Billy Cundiff and his gang coming out right now.
Will Witherspoon made a good play there getting in that lane because Quincy Carter is a good runner in the open field. Witherspoon isn't the biggest of linebackers, but he's very mobile. He just didn't give Quincy Carter either way to go on that one.
Billy Cundiff with a 37-yard attempt. When we saw Cundiff in that Monday night game that Dallas won in New York, they won the game on Cundiff's 7th field goal of the game. And now Cundiff is able to get him on the board. So the Cowboys are off the schneid with 1:12 to play in the first half. And it is a 10-point game. This wild card game from Charlotte is being brought to you by Charles Schwab. Seeing the market from a different perspective. Yours. FedEx, you can always rely on the ultimate and reliable shipping. Relax. It's FedEx. Sirius, 100 streams of satellite radio. Sirius, it's on. And Southwest Airlines, friendly nonstop service all across the country. Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom. Recap first half. Big play in the first quarter was a 70-yard catch and run by Steve Smith, but Pete Hunter saved a touchdown. Casey got a field goal, and then Stephen Davis was stopped there. It was 1st and goal. They had to settle for the 3. Casey was able to add another field goal, and then Stephen Davis on a 3rd and 10, untouched, into the end zone to make it 13-0, and now it's 13-3 with $1:12 to go in the half.
You know, you said the Cowboys got off the schneid. I think Quincy Carter on that last drive got off the schneid a little. And I think he's you know more into it, more fluid, and I think he's ready to get something going here and open this deal up a little offensively.
104 yards in the air now for Carter. The kick fielded by Rod Smart of the He Hate Me fame in the XFL. And Smart brings it up to the 28-yard line. Smart will go down in football lore as the guy who, when the XFL started in 2001, had He Hate Me on the back of his shirt.
He Hate Me, Western Kentucky University.
Well, the NFL won't let him wear that, but we asked him, in case he was in the starting lineup, to give his name in school.
How about those rubber bands then? I mean, where do the rubber bands come where you put one the top of your bicep and just at your elbow there? What's that all about?
There's Jesse Ventura.
I think that means he hate me.
1st and 10 from the 28-yard line. Muhsin Muhammad picks up 6 out to the 34-yard line. Carolina now with over 200 yards in this first half against the #1 defense in the NFL.
Yeah, I think Carolina ought to keep playing here and try and get in position for a field goal. They still have 2 timeouts.
2nd and 4, but they're going to go conservative, and they give it to Stephen Davis, and he takes it to the 41-yard line. And now they will take a timeout. So with 29 seconds, Carolina uses its second timeout, one remaining for John Fox's crew. John Fox was the defensive coordinator for the Giants when they went to the Super Bowl under Jim Fassel. He was very close to getting the opportunity to coach the Buffalo Bills. After that season, they went to Marvin Lewis, they went to John Fox, and then Greg Williams was the other guy who was a finalist, and Williams got the job, and then Fox comes here last year. And over the last 50 years, I mean, that's a pretty good list to be a part of. Head coaches getting into the playoffs within 2 years after taking over a team with one win. Lombardi did it in '58 and got into the playoffs in '60. And then Bill Parcells took over the woeful Jets in '96 and got them to the AFC Championship game. And there is John Fox, 7-9 last year, 11-5 this year.
Vince Lombardi drew the blueprint for everyone.
He did it. Wide open is Muhsin Mohammed, and Mohammed drops the football. It's rolling toward the end zone, and who has it at the 2-yard line? No signal yet, and Carolina has it. And a big breakdown in the secondary. How do the Cowboys allow somebody to get that open along the sideline?
Usually you have a corner who's playing cover 2 and thinks he's short, and a safety who doesn't get over. Because Muhsin Mohammed, once he got by that corner, he was running wide open all the way.
And because he recovered it himself, if he recovered it, they will give him the added distance.
Recovered the ball, so it will be Carolina's ball at the 2-yard line.
You see, he fumbles at the 12. Had he not recovered it, and Carolina had, they would have brought it back. But if the fumbling player recovers his own fumble, and John, of course, is thinking about the holy roller here. In the last 2 minutes of a half, you get the distance on the fumble, 57 yards.
But the closest guy to him was Al Singleton, the linebacker. There was no one out there on Muhsin Mohammed.
And the other question now, too, is as you look at it, are his feet out of bounds as he's recovering the ball? And if it gets reviewed, it would have to start upstairs. Now, he's out of bounds there. So he's out of bounds. He's still out of bounds when he recovers it. And there will be, I would think, a booth review here. In the meantime, Carolina had called a timeout. And I'll be very surprised if this is not reviewed from upstairs.
Because Carolina doesn't want it reviewed, they better get up and run a play.
Well, there's
nothing that Bill Parcells can do about it.
They got up there in a hurry, and I'm a little stunned.
Bill Parcells could take a timeout, though, just to give them more time to talk about a review.
Well, the guys upstairs have had enough time to review it.
Yeah, you're right.
I think they just blew it. 1st and goal. And that's dropped at the 3-yard line with 11 seconds. You have to reestablish that you are in bounds. To reestablish, it's one of those 1 knee equals 2 feet things, John. So you could look at it as if one knee was in, he had reestablished himself as being in bounds. And we have to assume that's what they're thinking upstairs, because otherwise it would seem obvious that that's a play you would have to look at. Second down and goal from the 2-yard line. And a fade to the corner of the end zone and batted away by Newman, but there's a flag on the play.
And you know that's what they're going to do. They're going to try and get it to Muhsin Mohammed down here. Anytime, that's what Jake Delhomme said the other day. He's so big and so physical, and I feel so confident I can just throw it up to him, and he's going to get it. That time, I thought the coverage was really pretty good by Newman.
And now,
pass interference, 41, defense. Foul occurred in the end zone. We will spot the ball at the 1-yard line.
Then they're going to give up the opportunity for a field goal here, at least to run one play. They're out of timeouts. Just going back to the review for a second, had he been out of bounds, Carolina still would have had possession, but back up at about the 10 or 12-yard line. Not at the 2. 1st and goal. And that's knocked down at the line of scrimmage. but it leaves 4 seconds on the clock, and now they'll bring John Casey in. So a lot of stuff going on at the end of the first half here.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they had to do with no timeouts. It couldn't be a running situation. You say, well, these are on the 1 yard line. They have Stephen Davis. Why don't they run the ball? Well, they couldn't run the ball because they had no timeouts. If they were going to take a shot at the end zone, it had to be a pass play.
A 19-yard attempt for Casey. Todd Sauerbrunn to hold. And that's his 3rd field goal of the half. And we still have 1 second, so we have a kickoff to come. So Carolina able to attack on 3. The big play, of course, was the Muhammad reception. And again, going back to that play, if it gets reviewed, Carolina would still have the ball. They just would have had it back at about the 12-yard line, since the recovering player would have been out of bounds. Look at the play again, as Carolina has its 2nd drive end at the Cowboy 1, and instead of 2 touchdowns, they wind up with 2 field goals. The play again is the breakdown in coverage, and Muhammad now will fumble. Had anybody else recovered it, it would have come on Carolina. It would come back to the spot of the fumble, but it should have come back anyway had he been out of bounds, which is hard to tell right here. But at least it was a play that needed to be reviewed, because the ball is loose. He's going to recover it, but is he in bounds or not? 1 knee equals 2. Who knows?
Right. Al Singleton was awfully close to recovering that thing too, and plus he was the closest guy to Muhammad on that play.
Little squiver, and that's Tyson Walter, backup offensive lineman. Bill Parcells, a ragged first half for his team. As you look at that, in the last 22 regular season games, trailing at the half, 0 for 22. 0 for 2 in their last 2 postseason games. Chris Berman, Steve Young, John Gruden in New York. Highlights of the earlier game, Nokia Sugar Bowl report coming up on the Lexus halftime show. Carolina 16, Dallas 3.
The Lexus Halftime Show, brought to you by Lexus and their passionate pursuit of perfection. Here now, Chris Berman.
Welcome back to New York, everybody, along with Steve Young and Coach John Gruden. Well, we thought it'd be a blackjack game here. Hit me 3, hit me 6. Dallas, they can play great defense at the 1, but there are other things that are going south.
Yeah, Bill Parcells known for having a well-oiled machine. Bad tackling, blown coverages, turnovers inside the 20, bad punting. This team is leaking oil right now. And how about Jake Delhomme, 192 yards in the first half, a kid that's come from nowhere, leading a playoff team. Stephen Davis hasn't even really gotten going, and he's got 75 yards. Everything going Carolina's way.
Delhomme finding your man, John.
Steve Smith, big plays now, 3 of them for 96 yards. The guy's at lightning in a bottle. But I think Dallas has got to get some field position. They got to finish drives. This is a sloppy half for the Cowboys here.
Maybe going home with any more punts like that, I can tell you that. Boy, the first game you knew would be a head knocker supreme between 2 teams in a grudge match. Tennessee at Baltimore. Steve McNair was picked off only 7 times all year, but he was picked off 3 times in this game. Will Debs took it to the house, 56 yards for a touchdown.
And I think this was the sign that Steve McNair is not going to get it done today alone. Jeff Fisher got off him and got to Eddie George quick.
Yes, he did. Eddie George played a courageous game, but then McNair to Justin McCarron's 49 yards. Late in the 3rd, it's 14-10.
And you can see the leg hurts. He can't even air the ball out. It's still short, but McCarron did a nice job of coming back.
After it's 17-10 Tennessee, Jamal Lewis pretty much a non-factor, but Anthony Wright to Todd Heap for a touchdown to tie it, John.
Pro Bowl tight end, you isolate him against a strong safety. The good tight end is going to win that one.
And then the man that has more field goals than anyone else in NFL history, 552, 46 yards. Good! Gary Anderson of the Titans, moving on.
The bag doesn't have the Tiger Woods 5-iron anymore. You know?
The running game came alive today, and it kept us in the ball game. Our defense played magnificent. So that's what we're going to need. You know, like I said, I just got to play a little better next week.
Well, next week the Titans don't know who they're going to be playing yet, but they win it 20-17. Anderson with 45 and 46-yard field goals. They need McNair and George healthy, but they'll take their chances at either Kansas City or at New England next weekend. We're in New York. We have a Nokia Sugar Bowl preview. We'll talk about second half keys and more when we return. The Lexus halftime show, Carolina with the lead over the Cowboys 16-3 at the half. We're going back down to Charlotte in just a moment. And tomorrow night here on ABC at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, it's the Nokia Sugar Bowl, the BCS Championship on the line. USC's done their part. However, Oklahoma, LSU, who will come out on top for a preview? Let's go to our compatriot, Brent Musburger.
Well, Chris, you can see Oklahoma behind me wrapping up their preparations for their meeting with LSU. The sound and the amplifiers turned up. It's going to be hot and noisy here Sunday night. Good coaching matchup. Bob Stoops, who's working with the secondary as well as being the head coach this time around because his brother's taken the job at Arizona, goes up against Nick Saban. And we asked Saban to compare these two teams.
I think both teams have a lot of athleticism. Both teams have a lot of speed. Both teams have a similar style of how they play. They're very athletic on both sides of the ball. They're opportunistic. They make plays. They have players who can make big plays, and both quarterbacks play with a good level of efficiency. So I think there are lots of similarities between these two teams.
Gary, another story with Coach Saban. He's a hot rumor around the NFL. A, do you think he'll take the job? And B, why is he such a hot commodity?
A, I don't think he'll take a job right now. B, he's a hot commodity because he's been there. He's been with the best, Bill Belichick. He knows what it takes, and he will leave no stone unturned. Oklahoma will find that out.
All right, it's Oklahoma and LSU. Back to you, Chris.
All right, Brent, Gary, thank you very much. We look forward to the game. National Championship game, BCS. Now, who is it?
Oklahoma has an emotional advantage, I think, because they have a lot to prove after the embarrassment at Kansas State. I think they come out and show that they're one of the best teams in the nation.
I think the LSU Tigers, being that I'm an SEC fan now,
Tampa guy.
better be honest with yourselves. Nick Saban's done a phenomenal job. This team can play some defense.
All right, 16-3, Dallas trailing Carolina. Cowboys out of it, guys?
No, not with Glenn and Galloway and Bryant. The weapons outside. They can still get the ball deep and strike quickly to get back in the game. But all these little things, the turnovers and the bad tackling, the bad punts have got to stop immediately.
Got to see some rhythm on offense quickly, and we need to get a turnover if I'm Dallas. Better mix up your snap count, Chris, because Carolina's coming off.
And Carolina just pound Davis, just pound Stephen Davis to try and get
Stephen Davis was 75 yards. I expect at least that or not more in the second half.
Keep an eye on Steve Smith. He's hot.
Steve, I'll see you tomorrow on an NFL Countdown on ESPN.
My pleasure.
Coach
Great to
Gruden,
be the coach.
Nice to see you.
guys.
We'll see you next year in the playoffs, all right?
Thanks,
That's enough of you.
Enjoy it.
Second half coming up from Carolina. The Panthers trying to finish off the Cowboys. Can they do it? They lead 16-3. Enjoy.
We begin the third quarter. Al Michaels, John Madden, and Lisa Guerrero in Charlotte, North Carolina, where the Carolina Panthers are trying to win a trip to St. Louis. If they win, they play the Rams next week. If the Cowboys win, they play Philadelphia. And it's simple because the Cowboys are the 6th seed. They would have to play the highest seed. That's Philly. Carolina, the 3rd seed, would play the lower seed. That's St. Louis. 16-3 Carolina with the Panthers to get the ball in the third quarter, and Rod Smart takes it from the 5. With turtle action. And up to the 31-yard line. Let's take a look at the first half numbers. The Panthers, 267 yards. This season, the Cowboys only once in a first half allowed more than 200 yards. That was in a Thanksgiving Day game dominated by Miami.
Jake Delhomme was pretty good in that first half. 10 out of 19 for those 192 yards. And I think that kind of put the Cowboys defense back in their heels. They started off where they were doing a lot of blitzing early. Then towards the end of the half, they got away from the blitzing.
Start on the ground. That's no gain for Stephen Davis.
We're talking about one of the ways to loosen up that front so that a running back can get some yards. It's like this: get big plays in the passing game. because then they say that if he blitz him and we go after him and he makes a play, then we'd better back off our blitzing. And then he's not going to get as much pressure, and he's going to make more plays like this where he has plenty of time. I mean, that's just a wide open. What happened is 2 guys went with a post and no one went with Muhammad.
Now Davis breaks some tackles, but not the final one. That's Ekwuban, who knocks him down for a loss. And we were talking about Carolina's yardage in the first half. Coming into the game, of course, throughout the course of the regular season, those stats are now final. The Cowboys allowed 253.5 yards per game. So in other words, they gave up more yards in a half than they allowed on an average game during the season.
Yeah, and the offensive coordinator of the Panthers is Dan Henning, and I think he called a great first half. I mean, he worked for years with Bill Parcells and probably knows him as well as anyone. And I think that he really had great mixture of run and pass, short and deep in that first half.
3rd down and 11. A little swing pass out here, and the tackle is made in the open field on Stephen Davis as Terrence Newman came up and just got enough of him to trip him up.
I know the Cowboys thought in that first game they had so much success with the blitz, and then they didn't have any success in that first half, so they've gotten away from it, and I think they're going to play a lot less blitz, a lot less pressure package this second half, or at least the start of the second half.
3 and out for Carolina. Sauer on the punt. Joey Galloway back to return it. Galloway from the 22. Two-yard return. It'll be first down up at the 24-yard line when the Cowboys get the ball for the first time here in the second half. Early third. Carolina 16, Dallas 3. Cowboy defense does its job. 3 and out, and now the offense takes over at the 24-yard line. Early third quarter, Carolina leading by 13.
At the end of the second half, you felt that Quincy Carter was starting to get a little juice or pizzazz or whatever it is, and I think he has to bring that second quarter with him right now.
Under pressure, slings it.
Ooh, that's dangerous.
Very dangerous. They've been better served that he dropped it. The catch is made by Richie Anderson. The pressure was put on by Brenson Buckner, and that's an 8-yard loss.
Yeah, and that's the thing that kills Bill Parcells about Quincy Carter. He says when he gets in trouble and he has to scramble and do this and improvise, he'll make some bad decisions. Now that one was complete for -8 yards, but I'll guarantee you that was a bad decision to throw that screen back across your body across the field.
2nd down and 18 from the 16-yard line. And Richie Anderson gets a couple of those back. 3rd down and long coming.
You know, if you look at Quincy Carter's pass chart in the first half, you can kind of see what they have to do. You can see that, you know, here's the 5 yards, here's the 15 yards, and he's only thrown or tried 2 passes deeper than 15 yards and completed one of them. Somewhere along the line, and I'm not saying on this down, but somewhere along the line they have to stretch this defense.
3rd and 15. And Carter slings it incomplete, broken up by Ricky Manning Jr., intended for Galloway. And so the rookie Manning out of UCLA, who had an interception last week, knocks that one away.
Ricky Manning Jr. is on Joey Galloway here, and the thing about Ricky Manning Jr. is you see when Galloway goes down, he knows now that he can undercut it or jump it. He doesn't have to stand back there and guard him, so when he slips, then you always go for the ball. If he caught that, that was a touchdown.
Open invitation when the guy's on the turf as Toby Goen gets ready to punt. So the Cowboys, like the Panthers, go 3 and out, and backing up and hauling it in at the 30, Steve Smith. Back to the 37-yard line. 11 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in the third. Manning very pleased with himself. Carolina very pleased with the outcome to this point. 16-3 Panthers.
For the private use of our audience, any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
Carolina on top by 13. the big guns they've been doing 194 yards for Delhomme, 73 yards on the ground for Davis, and Smith with those 3 catches, one of which went for 70 yards in the opening period. First down from the 37-yard line. Delhomme floating one, caught by Muhsin Muhammad, a wobbler, a floater, and it got there. 24 yards.
I tell you, Jake Delhomme is really taking advantage of these blitzes. The last time they blitzed, this time they figure that they can do it again to put the pressure on Delhomme. They come in a blitz. He just sits back there and finds a little gap there, a little hole, and puts it right into Muhsin Muhammad. That was a little wobbler, but I'll tell you, it was very, very accurate. I mean, there was a gap there between the 2 defenders. Muhammad got in that gap, and Delhomme got him the ball.
Between Newman and Williams, and that's 100 receiving yards, 101 precisely for Muhammad. And that's almost intercepted. Darren Woodson. Second down and 10. The Dallas defense, and we talked about them being number 1 in the league. You know, when you look at how they did this year, John, I mean, last year we talked about Tampa Bay as being one of the great defensive units ever. The Bucs gave up 4,044 yards. The Cowboys 4,056. In other words, the Dallas Cowboy defense this year gave up only 12 more yards all season than one of the great defenses of all time.
Yeah, right. And they played in a lot of those tight games. And we're talking to Bill Parcells last night about his defense. He said our defense tonight has to create something.
Smith out in the flat.
And I think that's the thing. I mean, they're the #1 defense, and they've been that. But when you get in a big game, you have to make big plays. And by creating things, he's talking about turnovers. I mean, maybe the defense gets one and scores. And even when they're playing defense here, the Cowboys, I think they're missing too many tackles. I think they're a little sloppy. I think they're getting gashed by their blitzes. And they're not making anything happen. I mean, they're not taking the ball away, and that's what they have to do.
And Woodson is hurt. He comes out. Tony Dixon replaces him. And the Dallas defense has yielded 73 yards to Davis on the ground. And now both Smith and Muhammad are each in triple figures in yards receiving. Delhomme. And making the catch for the touchdown is Steve Smith. 32 yards as they go to work on Newman again.
I tell you, that was another blitz, and that's who they're working on. The rookie, Terrence Newman, he's a corner here. He's a good player. But Steve Smith is a good player, too. Steve Smith gets that step, and then he stays inside enough so that Jake Delhomme can get the ball over his outside shoulder. Now, what they're going to rule here is force out. Yep, that's a signal there.
That's why you can't have a challenge. It's similar in a way to the play in which Arizona beat Minnesota last week. If you come down on your own account with 1 foot out of bounds, that is an out of bounds play. But this, with a force out being ruled, is not an out of bounds play. Casey for the point after. .135 yards on 5 receptions for Smith. And the Carolina Panthers are up by 20 in Charlotte. This time the Panthers won a postseason game right here against Dallas following the 1996 season. And right now on their way to perhaps their first playoff victory in those 7 ensuing years as they fake a reverse, and the ball is taken up to the 45-yard line by Michael Bates.
You know, we saw Jake Delhomme throw that ball to Steve Smith. But watch what made it possible. Watch this group here and the protection that they've been giving Jake Delhomme all night. I mean, that's where it starts. I mean, the offensive line does a great job here where he can look and see Steve Smith step up and make a perfect throw. Look at the protection. They form a pocket. They give him a lane to throw it in, and Steve Smith did a good job. You know, as you're running up, you want to stay about 4 yards to the outside so that he has those 4 yards to throw the ball over your outside shoulder.
Coleman Road right there, the road on the 23rd of November, and the friendly confines on January 3rd. from the 46-yard line on first down. Carter underneath, and that pass is incomplete. Dropped over the middle by Hambrick as he was hit by the middle linebacker Dan Morgan, who's a very good player. He's just been in and out of the lineup a lot because of injuries, the last of which was a concussion.
There's the offensive line. We talked earlier about Kevin Donnelly. See him, number 65 there. They're really impressed with Jordan Gross. You know, he's a rookie from Utah that came in and has been a starter all the way. Never did look like a rookie. You know, had that right tackle spot and has played superbly.
They had a hand on Carter's foot. The penetration was so good by Jenkins that as he handed the ball off to Anderson, he was going down in the process.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Bill Parcells was talking about and saying why Chris Jenkins is so good, because he's so big and powerful. I mean, he weighs 340 pounds, and John Fox was saying he moves like a 300-pound guy. Usually you'd say that about a 200-pound guy, but he said Chris Jenkins moves like a 300-pound guy.
He'll start in Honolulu. Last year he was a reserve. 3rd down and 6 out of the shotgun. Going deep. Coverage is very good and incomplete. Intended for Terry Glenn, who never had a chance. Ricky Manning hanging with him step for step. So John Fox, and it was funny yesterday, John, we're talking to both coaches. The same question is posed to each. To John Fox, what do you do? What do you do differently? How do you coach any differently in post? He says, not at all. We do exactly what it took to get us here. To Parcells, oh, it's very different. No, it's a whole other game.
Yeah, and Bill Parcells was talking about the deeper you go in, the more it changes. He said this one's not as much different, but when you get to the divisional and the championship and you get to a Super Bowl, it's a heck of a lot different.
Fair catch made by Steve Smith at the 15-yard line. The Panthers will take over there with 8:38 to play in the 3rd. Carolina 23 and the Dallas Cowboys 3. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Friendly nonstop service all across the country. Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom. Aflac, ask about it at work. Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you. And Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world. Bud Light, providing the aerial coverage above downtown Charlotte. Right at the edge of downtown, Darren Woodson is back in the game at safety for the Cowboys. Panthers begin from the 15-yard line and give it to Stephen Davis. 17th carry of the night, 73 yards. And let's check in with Lisa.
Well, the Panthers wide receiver Muhsin Muhammad left the game. He has a hip contusion. He was taken into the locker room, but they say his return is probable, Al.
And he's had a big night as you look at the numbers there. 4 catches for 101 yards, and Steve Smith 5 catches for 135. Ricky Prohl, meanwhile, comes in while Muhammad's gone.
Jake Delhomme was saying the other day that, that he really loves when Ricky Prohl's in there. In fact, he called him his security blanket, which kind of surprised me.
2nd and 10. Helmet pops loose, 6-yard gain. He's probably been watching him on television since he was about 12.
Yeah. Because you think, Muhsin Muhammad, and what he does, and then Ricky Prohl, and he has quite a few of them. You're talking about hat to hat, and there's a hat flopping on the ground.
And that was Roy Williams' hat, and Roy Williams for the moment is going back to the bench. There is the strong safety. It'll be 3rd down and 3 now. I think he got cut from the 22-yard line. Davis forced out of bounds. And a little misdirection as Al Singleton is right there, very close to a 1st down.
Well, that's right on the yellow line, isn't it?
Right there.
It's right on that lollipop, too. Isn't what they call that thing a lollipop?
I've never heard that.
Yeah, I think so. I think they call that. You see how it's built? It looks like a lollipop.
The little mat?
Yeah. This thing right here, they call a lollipop. That thing right there.
What do you call that on the ground there?
Where?
The little like carpet. It's a 1st down.
Yeah, by about 2 chain lengths.
Stephen Davis, great acquisition. And he's from South Carolina, so in effect he's coming home. His numbers for the season. You know, you say Carolina, we were talking about this yesterday. One of the reasons that the Panthers, of course, have been kind of under the radar over the past few years, they haven't been very good. I mean, they haven't been to the postseason in 7 years. They're an expansion team, so you don't have a great history. As the ball is sent back to Foster. And then they used to name teams after states. I think the Minnesota Twins were the first, and the Minnesota Vikings, and you kind of understood that's the Twin Cities. But this is a team not named after a state. It's named after a region. Of course, if you live in this area, this is known as the Carolinas. But around the country, everybody goes, what? Who? Where?
Yeah, but the Carolinas are what? North and South?
And South Carolina.
Yeah, so Carolina could be north or south, but it's north.
It's amazing. We both live out west. How many people? Is it in Charlotte? Is it in Greensboro? Is it in Raleigh? Is it in South Carolina?
The guy with the binoculars knows.
Yes,
he started the whole thing here.
And that's Foster taken down again. And then, of course, there's another team, Carolina, the Hurricanes, in the National Hockey League, but they play in Raleigh.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. They were talking about Jordan Gross and the job that he does to right tackle. He's going to get beat on this one by Greg Ellis. You see him, he comes in and he gets his nose over his toes. He extends a little too much, and Ellis, being the veteran, he just kind of waits, takes him on, pushes him off, and comes in and makes the play. But Jordan Gross, for the most part, has really done a good job on Greg Ellis tonight.
Now Mohammed's back in the game after he went back to the locker room. They keep it on the ground, and this is Foster again. Boy, tough crowd to please, huh? Up by 20 and booing.
Well, you know, it's that old third down thing, and Dan Henning, the offensive coordinator, said, you know, in this game, he said, I'll guarantee you there's going to be some situations where we don't want to force anything. I don't want Jake Delhomme to have to make a play and maybe make a bad one. He said, we are going to get booed on some of our third down calls. He was prophetic. There it was.
Todd Sauerbrunn to punt. Beautiful, deep Pro Bowl type kick. Fielded at the 22 by Joey Galloway.
Whoops.
And Galloway gets hit just as he gets out of bounds up at the 27-yard line. So the Cowboys have to start to catch fire because they're down by 20 with 4:35 left in the third. 20-point lead, and when you're playing on the road, how often can you overcome that in postseason history? Well, Detroit at San Francisco. You go back to 57 when the 49ers had a 27-7 lead and the Lions won the game. And that's the mountain facing the Cowboys right now as they begin this drive. And that pass is incomplete. Good coverage by the linebacker right there, Greg Favors, and a flag is down. And that's news. There's only been one penalty assessed in this game against Dallas, and it was a 1-yard penalty in the end zone.
That was the thing we were talking about the other day, that historically there's always been fewer penalties called in the playoffs. And once you get to the playoffs, they kind of let them play, and they had all-star crews up until this year. This year, the whole crew goes to the playoffs.
88, offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Antonio Bryant. In fact, our old Mr. Univac, Steve Hurt, figured out that there's 18% fewer penalties in postseason play over the past several seasons.
I think a couple reasons for that. I think, you know, the crews were all-star crews and they didn't work together. I think the teams are the good teams. I think they're the good teams because they play the game better.
1st and 20. Richie Anderson. And maybe the concentration level is better because you know how much is at stake.
Right, that every play is a big play.
Sam Mills, the former linebacker with New Orleans, and you remember him, a fire hydrant. And Sam with intestinal cancer, and he's been battling it with radiation and with chemo. He's been with the Panthers all season long. He can't work 7 days a week. He came here to end his playing career. He's a terrific guy, and we're all wishing him the very best.
I saw him at practice the other day, and I mean, he does a full normal schedule. He has chemo like on Monday, takes Tuesday off, and then he's here the rest of the week. And John Fox had him talk to the team on Friday, and he said that this guy, I mean, he was a great player. Sam Mills was a great player. You know, I mean, you'd say he was undersized, but he was undersized, great, tough guy. You know, and I think the players feed off that. And Sam Mills is a real inspiration. I mean, he's a linebackers coach, but he's an inspiration. Not only this, the linebackers, the whole defense, this whole Carolina Panther team.
Played under Jim Mora with the Saints and went to 5 Pro Bowls. 3rd and 19. Carter almost has that picked off. Double coverage on Galloway, and Ricky Manning almost had an interception. 4th down. Here's Lisa.
Thanks, Al. Now, as John mentioned, John Fox did ask Sam Mills to talk to the team yesterday following practice, and it was the first time Mills actually addressed his cancer to the entire team as a unit. It was a very, very somber meeting, as you can imagine. The remark that left the biggest impression to the players and the coaches that I talked to was as follows: in football and in life, you need a team to be successful. I need a team of doctors, nurses, and specialists to battle this. I can give in, I can give up, or I can keep fighting. I choose to keep fighting.
And fighting the good fight as Goins' punt is run back parallel to the 40-yard line. 44-yard kick and a 2-yard return here with 3 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter.
It was the Cowboys 6-3 and out. I mean, it's just this Panther defense has really shut them down. I mean, they don't give them anything. I mean, they try and run. There's nothing there. They go to the pass. They have everything covered. You know, you say you ought to, you know, try and stretch them, get deep. They don't have a lot of time. And this Panther defense has just put a blanket on this Cowboy offense.
You saw that sign, which also acknowledged Mark Fields as the pass is caught by Hoover. And just to finish that story, Fields, a very good player for the Panthers with Hodgkin's disease. So he's been battling that this year, and they hope to have him back next year.
And again, another inspiration on this team. And as John Fox was saying, you know, the loss of Mark Fields, he was their blitzer. And, you know, and he was the guy that if they were going to bring pressure, he would be the rush guy. And they lost him, and he said we lost him. We lost a big part of our team because we could never replace him as a rusher or blitzer, and that part of our defense has suffered.
2nd and 3 now from the 47-yard line. 3rd quarter winding down. Little pitch back to Davis. And he gets taken down from behind the 42-yard line by Dat Wynn. His coach right there to say, beautiful, baby, beautiful.
Yeah, that's that old option thing, you know, where you fake one way and pitch back the other way. So you're going to fake in here and then pitch like an option. I mean, the quarterback doesn't come running down the line like in college, but that's the professional version of the option play. We're talking about Muhsin Muhammad, you know, and the type of blocker he was, and we're talking about Stephen Davis saying every time I get a big run, Muhammad will make the block for me. You just saw it right there.
Took Mario Edwards halfway to Gastonia. 1st and 10 at the 42-yard line. Davis on a toss again to the other side. Picks up about 5, tackled by Newman.
You know, it was interesting the other day. I was talking to Dan Henning, and he says, you know how in horse races, when a guy wins a race, the jockey always says, you know, I knew coming down the stretch that I had a lot of horse left. He said, I feel that way about Stephen Davis. He said, we're coming down the stretch. And he said, when you get in the playoffs, you have to have a lot of horse left. And he said, I think in Stephen Davis, I have a lot of horse left. He was right.
That's a great feeling for a jockey and a coach.
Well, you know, I mean, he went back to the Washington Redskins, and he was talking about John Riggins, you know, down the stretch and what John Riggins would do.
Down the stretch they come. And this is Muhsin Muhammad picking up the 1st down. Meanwhile, Davis has now gained 99 yards. Crowd saluting Muhsin Muhammad, who, along with Casey, are the only 2 Panthers remaining from their last playoff run in '96.
Again, Jake Delhomme, about the 2nd quarter, got very comfortable. Muhammad, you know, has been very physical out here, blocking, catching passes, getting 1st downs the whole game. And he has Steve Smith and the speed on the other side, and he has Stephen Davis. They've had great mixture in this game.
1st and 10 at the 29-yard line. Half a minute to go. in the third period. And they give it to Deshaun Foster. As Davis gets a breather, and Carolina can let that clock tick all the way down to the beginning of the fourth quarter.
You know, I was watching the pregame warm-up, Al, and Jerry Richardson, the owner, was out there working with the offensive line in the pregame warm-up. He must have showed him something because they've done a heck of a job.
It's like a mom-and-pop store. End of the third quarter, it's Carolina 23, Dallas 3, in this wild card game from Charlotte. We'll continue after this message from our ABC stations. Al Michaels, John Madden, and Lisa Guerrero as we start the fourth quarter, and the Carolina Panthers are on top 23-3. So Bill Parcells out of retirement, back in the playoffs, coaching his 18th game. John Fox is first, and Fox's group up by 20, and the pass is caught by Deshaun Foster. He takes it to the 14-yard line. For Parcells, I talked to Jerry Jones last night, and I asked Jerry, when's the first time it came into your mind that Bill Parcells could be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
We had played the Giants in New York, and I had stayed over the morning for the next morning, and I got a call from a friend of his that said, Jerry, there's a possibility that Bill could have an interest in the Cowboys job. And I told him I would give him a call, went back to Dallas, and by the time I landed, had him on the phone.
Now, what happened was Parcells was working for ESPN last year. On a Sunday, he's sitting in the green room, and they're watching television, and he's got his representative, Jimmy Sexton, there, and Chris Mortensen, the outstanding reporter from ESPN, and Jerry Jones's picture winds up on a monitor. And Parcells looks up at the screen, and he says, you know, I could work for that guy. And then Chris goes down to interview Jerry about Emmitt Smith a couple of days later and mentions that. And that led to Jones and Parcells getting together, and here they are. Second down and 10 at the 14-yard line. Little swing pass out to Foster. And I always wondered, John, whether it was Jerry coming up with the idea and nibbling and putting out fielders, or whether it was Bill, and it was Bill.
Yeah, but you know, Bill is one of those guys that you kind of knew was coming back, because remember, there was also talk that he was going to go to Tampa Bay, and then he was in and out and in and out. In fact, Dan Henning told me he was in and out of Tampa Bay 5 times. So you kind of knew that the thing was there. And then when he saw Jerry Jones and said, you know, I think I could work for that guy, I felt that he could too. You know, like 5 years ago, probably not, either side. Right now, I mean, they've proved that they can.
Each in their early 60s. This is the shot to get back to glory. And we'll rack it up in a little while, and we'll play for you. Because I asked Jerry also last night, you know, why Dallas? If Bill was going to come back, what about the Cowboys? And we'll get that on tape for you in a little while. Very interesting answer. So it's fourth down now, and a 33-yard, make it 32-yard field goal attempt coming up for John Casey.
You ever seen that before, where the holder had to put his glove on just before he held? Then if you explain that the holder is also the punter, you said, oh yeah.
Holding gloves. And Casey bangs it through. That's 4 for Casey tonight. And the Panthers are up 26-3. Nothing total yardage. The Panthers in this half have outscored the Cowboys 10-0. Lead 26-3. And this is Michael Bates. Bates to midfield before he's forced out of bounds by the kicker, John Casey. So I mentioned before, we were talking to Jones last night, and I said, well, if Parcells was going to come back into coaching, why the Cowboys?
He talked about the Cowboys as a franchise, and he basically said, look, if we were in Las Vegas, there's the lounge, and then there's the great showroom where Sinatra and Presley worked. The Cowboys are the big showroom, and that's where I want to be on stage.
The big showroom, huh?
It is the big showroom. The Dallas Cowboys play in the big showroom. Carter to the 42-yard line to Galloway.
You know, the old trick I think the Panthers pulled on the Cowboys is wearing the white jerseys. You know, you talk about the big show and the Cowboys, and you always think of them and their white jerseys. Well, the home team gets a choice. And so the Panthers, sometimes they wear dark here at home, but they did it the last time they played in the playoffs, too. They made the Cowboys, and I remember years ago the Redskins used to do it, and every team in the NFC, the Eagles would try and do it, make the Cowboys wear their blue uniforms, because they don't look like the Cowboys in these uniforms, do they?
Haberdasher's gamesmanship. Whatever the hell that means. 2nd and 6. Here's Carter. Caught by Richie Anderson, and he stopped a couple of yards shy of the first down by Greg Favors.
Yeah, you're talking about Flozell Adams and, you know, and going out there in the field. I'll say this, that the Panthers have controlled the line of scrimmage both sides. Their offensive line has dominated the defensive line of the Cowboys, and their defensive line has dominated the offensive line of the Cowboys. This is where it all starts.
And the total yardage tonight is almost 3-1. 3rd and 2. They get the first down here. Richie Anderson takes the ball to the 35-yard line.
Yeah, that's a tough thing when Richie Anderson is your best running back. That's not a good thing. I was looking up the stats, and he's played for 11 years, and in those 11 years he's gained just over 1,000 yards. So that means that, you know, he's never been, I mean, Richie Anderson, what he is he's a pass receiving fullback. That's what he is.
Led the team in receptions. That, by the way, is Dallas's first down of the half. That's Witten, the tight end, tackled by Mike Minter.
You know, and that's what Quincy Carter did in the first game is that short stuff. You know, he hit the tight end, he hit the fullback, but the Panthers didn't give him that in this game.
And he has only 9 yards in the air in this half.
Like the Panthers haven't given him much of anything, have they?
No. Outstanding performance by Carolina. Never in jeopardy tonight. 2nd and 1. And the pass is caught there by Terry Glenn. So it looks at the moment, barring a stunning comeback here, the Panthers can pack up and get ready to go to St. Louis and play inside on artificial turf next week. And then the Green Bay-Seattle winner would wind up going to Philadelphia.
You know, and that's what makes these games so big. I mean, the winners get to go on and play, and so devastating for the losers. I mean, you go through the whole season, and you're going to go home, and this is going to be your last game. You won't play again until next year.
Carter on 1st down and 10. It's caught at the 15-yard line by Anderson. When a 3-team meets a 6, as the case is here, you always know where the winner goes. But when 4 meets 5, you don't know until the next day. For instance, Tennessee is number 5. They beat Baltimore 4. But Tennessee could wind up at either New England or Kansas City. And there is the NFC. You've got 5 against 4. Seahawks, Packers. This game 6-3. So they have to wait until tomorrow's Denver-Indy game to determine where the winner of that game goes and where Tennessee goes. 2nd down and 6 from the 14-yard line. Shovel. Anderson to the 11.
I'll tell you, that's one thing. If it's the Panthers, the Rams are going to have to think about these same things, is controlling that defensive line, and like I said earlier, the best defensive line in the playoffs and the pass rush, and and getting some running game going, protecting Bulger, because this group here can get after you.
Doing it all season long. 3rd down and 3 now.
I'd like to take that 77 with me if I were starting something.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd be starting, but I'd want him on my side.
He's got some good playmates along that front, too. Hamburg fighting for a first. Jenkins will go to the Pro Bowl. That's Minter coming in. And remember, those playmates include Mike Rucker with 12 sacks, Buckner, longtime former Steeler in his 10th year and solid, and of course the number 2 pick in the draft 2 years ago, and Julius Peppers.
You know, and that's what they have is Chris Jenkins. You know, he can get that penetration inside and flush you. Then they have Julius Peppers with the speed to go catch you. So they can even play a running quarterback.
4th and 1, of course, the Cowboys have to go for it. And Carter's going to take a timeout. Timeout, Dallas. They're frenzied at Ericsson Stadium. 26-3, Carolina. Final game in the Bowl Championship Series. Tomorrow, the Nokia Sugar Bowl from the Superdome in New Orleans. Number 1, Oklahoma. Jason White, Heisman winner. Number 2, LSU. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Right here on ABC Sports.
Look at this place. They're going 4th and 1. They're going nuts here. Woo!
Last gasp for Dallas. And Carter's going to run it and run it into the end zone. Touchdown, Quincy Carter. And so the Cowboys still breathing. 9 yards on 4th down.
This isn't a bad call down here, you know, because you have the option. He's going to run a bootleg. You see, he fakes here. Now he comes out here with an option, and the option is to pass the ball right there or to run it for the 1st down. And the coverage was pretty good. So if the coverage is pretty good, then they're going to give you some room to run the ball. Dan Campbell on that one got a good block.
Billy Cundiff will try to make it a 16-point or 2-possession game. And that makes it 26-10. $7:36 left in the 4th quarter.
This is my wild card Saturday night.
You must be able to get wild, get wild. If you wanna get real freaking, now's the time to try. Come on, get wild. Everybody up in the place. If you wanna get
Stephen Davis doesn't love Dallas. He played against them several times, of course, as a Washington Redskin. And it has been a long time since he has been on the winning side. Steve Smith from the 6-yard line up to the 17.
That was a good move there, you know, because you say, should they onside kick or not? I didn't think they should, but what you like to do is get the Panthers in an onside prevent and then kick the ball normally to them. Then they don't have a return, and that's exactly what happened there.
And they need 2 scores here, so what they really need is a 3 and out, go in for the touchdown. Then you, in all likelihood, see the onside kick, of course, depending on how much time is left. But we were talking about Stephen Davis as a Redskin. He has lost his last 11 games against the Cowboys, including the one in November as a Panther. So 10 as a Redskin, 1 as a Panther.
I think what the Cowboy defense has to be thinking here is turnover. Get the ball, rip it out of there.
Here's Davis. Ricky Prohl has an even longer personal losing streak. Prohl, who has bounced around. Ricky's lost his last 12 in a row. There it is. Longest personal losing streak against one opponent. Roman Pfeiffer has lost 16 straight to the 49ers. Doesn't matter where he winds up. Prohl and Davis are right there. Trapp and Wilkinson.
Well, Prohl got all his when he was down there with Arizona.
Right.
And, of course, Stephen Davis got all his when he's with the Redskins.
Most of Pfeiffer's, of course, with the Rams. 2nd down and 10 from the 16-yard line. Davis picking and threading up to the 19. And now a very important stop coming up here for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, that's what the Cowboys are thinking. I mean, the first thing they want to think is to stop them. Don't let them get the 1st down. But then they're thinking turnover. You know, rip the ball out of there. But the Panthers are thinking the same thing. You know, we're not going to put it out there. We're going to be safe. And we're doing these kinds of things. And the way these plays have been going, I wouldn't be surprised if they ran the ball on 3rd down here and just punted.
Stephen Davis now over 100. 24 carries for 103. 3rd and 6. Delhomme milking the play clock. The snap at 1. They keep it on the ground, and the Cowboys do get the stop that they need as Davis makes the stop at the 21-yard line, and the Cowboys are going to take a timeout. Timeout Dallas, 5:55 left in the fourth. Plus Sunday NFL Countdown gets you started on ESPN at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Tomorrow's games are Seattle and Green Bay and Denver and Indianapolis, and that'll wrap up the wild card round. And this tournament, which started with 12 teams, will get down to the Elite Eight. After Dallas uses a timeout, which I thought was a little too early. Their second timeout, they have 1 remaining plus the 2-minute warning, and they need 2 scores and 2 two-point conversions. And Sauerbund's kick is a beauty. 24-yard line. Joey Galloway brings it up to the 34-yard line, and so 66 yards from the end zone right now. 5:43 remaining in the fourth quarter, and they've got to get in twice and convert twice.
And Joey Galloway had to get down on that one because there was a punt block, and anytime you go all out to block the punt, that means that you have no return on the other end. So you either go for the block or you go for the return. If you don't get the block, you're not going to get much of a return.
Almost the equivalent of a special teams blitz.
That's exactly what it is. And if they hit one on you, it's a big one. You know, if they block the punt, I mean, that's what they were doing. They had to sell out because the Cowboys are desperate. You know, I mean, they need a big play on offense now. They needed it on defense. They needed a takeaway. They needed a block punt. One of those kinds of things.
Cowboys spreading it out on first down from the 34-yard line. Over the middle, pass caught, 9-yard gain. Galloway goes down, and they'll mark it at the 43-yard line. Second and a long 1.
Now, Quincy Carter does that well. He throws those slants, those curls, those hooks, those deep ends, anything inside the numbers, he throws very well. I think anything outside the numbers, like the outs and the comebacks and corners, I think he's a little late on. He doesn't throw those as accurately or as well.
Second down and 1 from the 43-yard line. Here comes the blitz. They get off a screen, and it turns out to be an interception by Julius Peppers. And Peppers takes it all the way inside the 15-yard line. The blitz was on. Terry Cousin came uncontested from the corner. Carter had to get rid of it in a hurry, and Julius Peppers has just about cemented it.
It was a middle screen, and you're going to see Cousins. He's going to come from the outside, as you said, uncontested right there. Julius Peppers is dropping back, and he sees pass, and he's just going to pick this thing off. You see him? He's coming back there. It's kind of a zone dog, so they're pressuring from the right side. He's on the left side. He's dropping off, playing pass. Watch him. He's right here. You see him drop, and then he's playing for that screen middle or spying anything. Perfect call.
From the 11-yard line, Davis fell down, gets up, takes the handoff, and now they'll just use the clock. That's Peppers' second interception, and this is his second season. The other one last year against Dallas, off Carter.
You know, and the thing is, you say, you know, why do you drop those defensive lines back? On those zone dogs, those big defensive linemen, they can't do anything back there. That's stupid. If you have a guy like Julius Peppers, it's pretty smart. In fact, he was a basketball player for a couple years at North Carolina, wasn't it?
He stayed in state.
Played in the Final Four.
You can play in North Carolina. You're a pretty good basketball player. Second and 10 from the 11. And the long gets taken down.
You know what they called Delhomme? What Stephen Davis calls him?
No.
Bobby Boucher.
from Waterboy.
That's his nickname. He said he gets in the huddle and he gets so excited. He's calling plays and you can't understand him. You don't know what the heck he's saying. But if he's going well, you just listen and do it what we think he meant. There's a Waterboy right there.
Adam Sandler right there. Well, Delhomme is saying, I want a timeout. just before the clock expires here, and they get it with a 3rd down and 10 coming up. So timeout taken by Carolina with a 16-point lead in the 4th quarter in Charlotte. Great year nonetheless for that man. And the Carolina Panthers leading it with 3:26 remaining in the 4th quarter. Quincy Carter's had a struggle, to say the least. 3rd and 10 from the 11-yard line after the timeout.
And that Panther defense put the struggle on him.
Out was flat. Jermaine Wiggins taken down by Coakley. Dallas is now going to take a timeout because they know Carolina will attempt a field goal, and they're just trying to conserve time on the other side of the timeout. The game recap tonight. Go back to the 1st quarter when it was Smith catching the pass near the sideline on 3rd and short, taken all the way down to the 1, but a good goal line stand by Dallas forced the Panthers to settle for 3. Then Stephen Davis scored the first touchdown of the game on a 3rd down call. 10 yards on the ground. Lucien Mohammed with this play right here, fumbling near the end of the 1st half, recovering, setting up that field goal to make it 16-3. And Carolina scoring another touchdown on that grab by Smith in the corner on the force out. It's 26-10. And the Panthers with 382 yards against the league's #1 defense.
Lucien Mohammed and Steve Smith and Stephen Davis were about 90% of this offense tonight. I mean, it seemed like it was either Stephen Davis was running the ball or Smith and Mohammed were catching the ball.
Casey trying to kick his 5th field goal from 34 yards out. And he has it. That ties an NFL postseason record with 5 field goals in 1 game. So he has accounted for 15 of the 29 points, and it's a 19-point Carolina advantage.
Yeah, we talked about the receivers, and let's just look at what they've done tonight. We know that the offensive line gave them protection, and Jake Delhomme got him the ball, but Mohammed is a very, very physical guy, and you can see the physicality, if that's a word. And then, you know, he just uses that big body, and you better be ready to tackle him. And then, of course, this guy here, Steve Smith, he just has great speed. And he's an explosive player. And anytime you get him out there, you can hit him with a short one and let him make a long run, or you can throw him the deep one. They've had, you know, great movement tonight. I mean, using Mohammed, using Smith, you know, and then mixing in the run. I think that Dan Henning has called a great game tonight for the Panthers.
And the St. Louis Rams right now, their staff can begin to concentrate on these guys.
You see Steve Smith over there, you know that speed kills. When you can get some speed in there, that changes everything about a defense.
At the 1-yard line, Michael Bates. Up to the 26-yard line. This wild card game from Charlotte is being brought to you by Budweiser. Grab a cold, fresh Budweiser. It's game time. Ford, if you haven't looked at Ford lately, look again. And Circuit City, we're with you. Bud Light providing the aerial coverage as you look down into Ericsson Stadium. Charlotte, NC. First down, Dallas from the 26-yard line. Galloway, the intended receiver. One thing about home field advantage in the NFL, it is really a big advantage. Look at that. In baseball since 1990, the difference is minus 18 percentage points. In the National Hockey League, it's -3 from the regular season to post. The NBA, it becomes more significant, and in the National Football League, it is very significant because regular season games are won by home teams 59% of the time, and almost 3 out of 4 by home teams in postseason play. Anderson upended.
Yeah, that's right, and that's the thing that makes everything good about the NFL is that you have to earn it, to get to play home field, and you earn it by having the best regular season. So if you were the better team in the regular season, you have more of a chance to win in the playoff game.
And that's the way the seedings are supposed to work. Of course, in football, it's a little different than in the other sports, because the other sports are normally a best of 7. This is one game.
Yeah, and that doesn't, the field has never won a game, and John Gruden, who was in the studio in the pregame and halftime, knows that very well. The Eagles had the home field for the championship game last year, and the Buccaneers go out and beat them, go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, after the Eagles got off to a great start, led 7-0 early on. Final game at the Vent meant nothing. Jason Witten for the first down. First round games, home team since 1990. 38-15. The second round is really where it's significant, because that's when the wild card goes to either the first or second seed. And the first or second seed is home. They've had a week off. The other team has had to go through the wild card round. And in the conference championship games, it starts to narrow again.
And that's a big thing, I think, because in the divisional, they have it a bye, so they've had the week off.
Final play before the 2-minute warning is a pass completion to Anderson, but for not much. 1:57 remaining. And they can begin to celebrate in Charlotte into the night as their Panthers are ready to advance to round 2. Trying to figure out who winds up on the horse trailer. We got some candidates. You've got the quarterback, you've got the running back, you've got 2 receivers. The defense has done a nice job. We could put a coach up there. You might put Fox up there. We've got a lot of guys to think about, John.
Yeah, I think the whole thing, Jake Delhomme had to play big tonight. And, they weren't going to be able just to do it with the running game, because the Cowboys could, stack up on that. And they did. They were going to take Stephen Davis away, and they were going to make Jake Delhomme beat him. That was their game plan. Don't let Davis beat us. Make Jake Delhomme do it. Put it in his hands. They put it in his hands, and he beat him.
With a 104.5 rating. And then you've got John Casey, and he's not going to wind up on the trailer, but he's tied an NFL record with 5 field goals tonight. And Fox, a coaching staff preparing a team for a game. You know how many penalties tonight against Carolina? 0.
And they played that kind of game, too. It's close to a perfect game.
2nd and 10, Carter to the 45-yard line.
And I think that Dallas, knows that, that they kind of overachieved this year, and Bill Parcells did a great job with them and everything, but there's still a few players short.
And he knows it. We'll look along the offensive line. Quincy Carter, he had a good enough year to get into the playoffs. They do need a running back as well, because Bill said I've got to upgrade in that area. But the one thing about Parcells, as Al Wallace gets the sack, is that Bill said, I said, do you think you'll fill out the 4-year contract? And he said, if I feel the way I do now, absolutely. He said, I'm already thinking about next year with great anticipation. I feel great. Happy to be back doing it. He's not feeling as good as he did like last night, but I think he's got a pretty good chance of fulfilling that, John.
Right, and that's how you tell when you're through, is when you can't think about the future. And if you can't think and talk about the future, you're going to be part of the future. And their season is over, and the Panthers are going on. This is big. I've been in playoff games and won, and there's no better feeling than winning a playoff game and going on. And there's no worse feeling than losing a playoff game, because it's your last game and you have to live with it for 6 months.
And for John Fox, what a job to take a team that was 1-15 2 years ago. And remember, that one was a stunning opening day upset against the Vikings. He had one more play. Then he lost 15 in a row. And only one team in the history of the NFL has won a postseason game with no penalties, no turnovers. One of the great Steeler teams against Dallas in Super Bowl 10.
That's the way to play football. No turnovers, no penalties, and dominate the line of scrimmage both offensively and defensively.
So the Panthers began the season with 5 straight wins, ended the regular season with 3 straight wins, come in hot, stay hot, and go to St. Louis. And for Bill Parcells, a magnificent job with a team that was 5-11 over the last 3 years. The Cowboys are back, but the Panthers are going on. Final score, Carolina 29, Dallas 10. And coming up next from Charlotte, we'll have the AutoTrader.com postgame show.
Okay, contestants, you have to make your way from Maine to California.
Carolina dominant from start to finish. It's the first touchdown of the game. Stephen Davis making it 13-0 with 6 minutes to play in the first half. Steve Smith had a big night. 70-yard reception early, and then this catch at the pylon. In the second half, defensively, they did the job. Julius Peppers with an interception. Carolina played a penalty-free game, a turnover-free game. They win it by a score of 29-10. A lot of guys to choose from as the horse trailer player of the game, but the quarterback, as John said, he's the guy that had to do it. He was at the helm. He moves on to St. Louis to face Mark Bolger and the Rams next week. Jake Delhomme, and he's with Lisa Guerrero. Lisa.
Thanks very much, Al. Jake, you guys faced the #1 defense in the league, and you took them apart. What was the key to scoring 29 points versus Dallas?
The first game, we didn't play well. It all started with the quarterback. I didn't do too much the first game, and we didn't run it that well. Stephen ran outstanding today. The receivers made plays, but more importantly, the offensive line, I really thought, controlled the game from start to finish. It's just a great win, and now we're trying to build momentum to go into St. Louis next week.
Now, Jake, this was your first postseason start, but you seemed very cool, calm, and collected. What was going through your mind tonight?
I was about as ready as I've ever been for any football game in my life. Felt very confident, loved our plan, loved what the coaches put together for us, especially passing-wise, and just ready to go play. Had a great night's sleep last night, and that's always key. Just ready to come out and try to make plays today.
Now, Coach Madden mentioned this earlier in the game, but let's talk about your wristband. Apparently, you've got 150 plays on there. First of all, how do you read them, much less keep track of them?
Well, my eyes are pretty good. I'm lucky about that, but, you know, sometimes you get dinged, it gets a little fuzzy, but they're not that hard to read, and there's some good plays on there, so I'm going to keep this one.
Congratulations. Back up to you, Al.
Thank you, Lisa. Pretty good script on that left wrist because they're on their way to round 2 as Carolina wins it by a score of 29-10. And that wraps it up for our AutoTrader.com postgame show. Coming up next, except on the West Coast, will be your late local news. ABC Sports online at ESPN.com. Keyword is ABC Sports. And that'll wrap it up for Wild Card Saturday. For our entire crew, Al Michaels, John Madden, and Lisa Guerrero saying good night from Charlotte.